The base is dropped on a new edition of Soccer Down Here. A new look for Soccer Down Here on the Twitch pitch, mixing things up a little bit. Might try to continue to experiment with things. Hope you guys will enjoy it. We will try some new things around here. Look, it's a new day. Atlanta goes to Seattle and gets a draw in a very interesting match with a lot of different takes on it. We'll get into those as we go today, I'm sure. We've got some interesting new champions like Atletico Madrid and Lille in Europe. Juventus gets into the Champions League. Leicester falls out. Got to talk about that. Sorry, Jason Nix. Gennaro Gattuso is out at Napoli, and Sergio Conceição of Porto appears to be in, and there are more rumors and innuendo and such about players. Pep Guardiola might have dropped some secrets on the BBC yesterday as to where Sergio Aguero will go. If you've been listening to this show, you've known where Sergio Aguero would go. But Pep Guardiola might have made it somewhat official yesterday with his comments about Sergio Aguero going to play with the best player in the world at Barcelona, which maybe is a little bit of a surprise about where Lionel Messi will be next season. All kinds of things. It was a busy weekend. Jared Smith, it was busy, huh?
It was very busy. I spent time watching all of this unfold. It was a lot of fun, and doesn't even get into the fact that I am, sorry, I'm a little distracted in my process of building the unofficial Aiden McFadden fan club.
Oh boy! If Aiden McFadden is not on the USL Championship Team of the Week, if not Player of the Week, then there are issues.
He scored 4 goals. He's going to be on the Team of the Week. There's not even a question about that. He will be in consideration for Player of the Week, I would assume. I haven't seen the candidates as of yet, but he's got to be the favorite in the clubhouse. McFadden with 2 more goals yesterday, a free kick golazo, and then a very quick reaction equalizer in the last minute of stoppage time. So the twos were able to get a draw yesterday. The first team was able to get a draw in Seattle. Good week in Atlanta United land, in my opinion, and we'll get into more of it. We'll get into your reactions. Look, that's what these Monday shows are all about. It's an overreaction Monday. Overreaction is kind of in air quotes. It can be an underreaction. It can be an on-par reaction. Just a reaction. Just share them with us. The best place to do that is on the Twitch pitch. You guys know you can get to us on Twitter as well, at Soccer Down Here, but the best place to share your reactions is on the Twitch pitch, twitch.tv/Soccer Down Here. Also this week, and this is something else that we are doing, and these guys don't even know about it yet because I've been doing some things in the background to get ready for. We like to use our show and our platform for good. You guys know that. We've got trivia coming up for Soccer in the Streets tomorrow. All you got to do is make a donation to Soccer in the Streets to be able to participate. Any dollar amount. John is a guest quiz master. I will be quizzing you on a variety of things, current events, Atlanta soccer history. The pop culture round is always fun. Very likely could get into national team continental championships with the Euros, with Copa America, with the Gold Cup all the summer. So that's tomorrow night. Go to @SoccerStreets on any social media platform. You will see where you can make your donation and get involved. But there's another great local area nonprofit that is trying to get back kind of into a normal routine this summer. The Boys and Girls Clubs of Atlanta, and they do a lot of great work with Atlanta United, and that's how I got into conversation with them about some of the things they're working on. And one long-term thing they're working on that hopefully we'll be able to maybe provide a little assistance on is a revamp, a kind of reimagining of their soccer programs. They've done great work with the Soccer for Success program through the U.S. Soccer Foundation over the years. It's an incredible introductory program. But at some of the locations, the kids are ready for more. They're ready to play games. They're ready to figure out what competition can look like within the boys and girls clubs. So this is something that'll be an ongoing thing that hopefully we'll be able to help with. But right now, they're going to be able to have summer camp again. Finally, I don't know, Jared. Did you do summer camp as a kid?
I did. Did like sports camp.
Yeah, and
it was really awkward.
It can be awkward, but
I was bad at most things.
Oh well, I mean, I can't really help you with that, Jared.
Well,
but
I was too.
No one could help you with that.
I'm sure that you guys, even if you were bad at certain sports, did learn a lot of things at summer camp that maybe didn't have to do with the actual sports, right?
Yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to think. I did the old Kittredge summer camp for a couple of years over in Northeast Atlanta, and where it was anchored, you did the arts and crafts stuff, which I was horrible at. But then it was a part of this section of Northeast Atlanta where you had baseball diamonds and you also had a swimming pool. The old Kittredge pool was a part of the summer camp as well. And literally all you had to do was walk up the hill and you could play, pickup baseball. You could play kickball. You could do whatever on the baseball fields when teams weren't practicing dayside for Briarcliff Community Sports. But then you'd get time at the pool, at least, an hour every day or every other, day or something like that. So no, the activities were all anchored. And I was really fortunate in that regard where they were all right there in that one little area where you had your indoor part, you had your outdoor part, and you could do a variety of different things there in those sections.
So the camps are getting underway here shortly for Boys and Girls Club. And what they've always done a great job with is kids who are not able to afford to participate, and it's a very inexpensive camp to begin with. They want it to be open to everybody. Nobody's turned away, and it's never an option to turn any kids away who want to participate and their parents want to get them involved. So we're trying to help raise a little money to get this thing going. We've set a goal for the week. It's going to be a week-long kind of drive here, and we've set a goal of $1,000. We've done pretty well with fundraising through this show before, and I hope we're able to do it again. We're going to do a long-term thing with the Boys and Girls Club, so it's not an individual thing right now that you have to get on right this second. If you're not able to join in, completely understand. Trust me, been there, done that. But we're trying to get these summer camps kicked off for the kids. You see the QR code on the screen now. You can go to givebutter.com/BGCMA summer for more info, and that's where you can make your donation. And we're tracking it. So we will try to hit that goal of $1,000 to give a lot of kids the opportunity to play and be part of a summer camp and learn, not just whatever activity is they're doing. And they do a lot of different things like STEM programs and art and sports, et cetera, but it's about the interaction. And for kids, after the last year that we've all had, some have been back in school, some haven't. Having interaction at a camp that is going to be done in a safe manner by the Boys and Girls Club is key. So we're trying to help out with that. Again, it's givebutter.com/BGCMA summer. That's where you can go and make your donation for our campaign that we are running with the Boys and Girls Clubs. And I'm pumped. I'm pumped about this becoming a long-term thing. I'm really excited about what the soccer program can turn into through the Boys and Girls Clubs in Atlanta. So that's something we will be doing for the week. If you have any questions, throw them at us. We'll get them to you. We'll get answers to you about exactly some of the things that this will be helping to do. But most importantly, it'll give more kids an opportunity to participate in summer camps, as everything is coming back online pretty quick. It's been a challenge for schools. It's been a challenge for organizations like the Boys and Girls Club. So we're trying to lend a hand and help out. We'll get into reactions on Twitter from the game yesterday. There is a twos review up from yesterday, and I know probably a lot of you were watching or listening to the first team match in Seattle. John, you want to give a quick synopsis of how things went down at the Fraction yesterday?
All right. So first off, big thanks to Jeff Larenowitz for stepping in for somebody who's normally there with me
That would be
and
me.
as a partnering. So yeah, you kind of had other things that you were doing. So,
I was ranting at Kevin Stott when he allowed the longest bit of advantage that I've seen in a long time, and then when the advantage was just given away by the player, he went and gave the foul back, and I thought that was going to turn into something, and I was not happy about it. I got a little loud. I'm sorry.
Nothing wrong with
My bad.
getting a little loud. But Memphis 901 FC came in. It was their second match of the year, only their second match of the year, and it was third match in a week's time for Atlanta United 2. And it was an Aiden McFadden free kick in the 28th into the upper 90 that made it 1-0. Then right before the half, something that we saw last year, hadn't seen as much of it this year, but right before the half, Memphis 901 gets an equalizer. It was 1-1. And then Laurent Kisiadou scored to make it 2-1 with about 15 minutes to go. And then something that, Jason, that we've talked about, and Jared, you and I have talked about, and Nick, we've all talked about, the fight in the club in general. We've seen it with the first team, seeing it with the second team, saw it in Oklahoma City where they were down twice, came back to leave with a 2-2 draw. You saw it again with Atlanta United 2 this time. And it was right at the death, and it was after Jack Gurr picked up a red. So Atlanta was playing the last handful of minutes a man down. So at 90+2, McFadden scores on a volley after it was parried out from the Memphis 901 keeper, sent right to Aiden McFadden. McFadden sends it right back over the keeper's head. 2-2 draw. Great point for Atlanta United 2.
Yeah, McFadden is really starting to show, and he played up on the wing yesterday, correct?
Yes, he did.
Okay. Yeah. How did he look on the wing versus played as a right back?
Oh, he looked great. I mean, he was engaged in the play, and we talk about engines and things like that. There were times where he would be engaged in the play offensively, and then he would double back and make a 75-yard run to help things out defensively when the game would get stretched and things like that. And so he didn't look like he was out of place at all, engaged in the play, and was definitely a part of all the action that was going on up top.
Exciting. I have not had a chance to go back in and watch that in detail, so that will be my afternoon to get caught up. We were watching the first part, and then had work to do with a pregame show while we were waiting for a 4:55 kick, and then was able to pop back in at halftime and watch this a little bit. So yes, Mateo is the one to thank for the change on the chat box. Again, we're working on some things on the Twitch side of things. I think it threw everybody off because we are smaller, John, on the screen, and we're trying to give more room to the chatters. And also with some upcoming events through our friend Scott Flood of the Flood Project. Trying to get more going on the screen. You don't need as big of a shot of us anymore. You can hear us. We're fine. We're not really doing anything that interesting until John starts dropping F-bombs again. Then I'm crying, and you might want to see that.
Yeah, I missed this last week. And
did you go back and listen?
I need to, because I've been told about what happened.
It was epic.
That John just went full phonetic.
He did. It was shocking. Abby, the thing about the chat being on the screen, I'm not doing this out of nowhere. A lot of people who use Twitch on mobile devices have to go to a separate window to see the chat. And this way you can see it on the screen where it's a little bit easier. It's a little bit more obvious there. So it is a best practice of Twitch that I have learned, and I'm continuing to try to learn some more best practices and trying to add more features. So I hope it's helpful. We'll try to do more things like this and add more things to the show as we go, as Mateo learns a few new tricks. He's been working. He's been trying to do some studying.
A little after hours
of
study
Twitch tactics. Yes, yeah, he's working. Okay. We've got a game to talk about. We've got a bunch of other things, and some of that might get shifted to soccer over there. You guys know how that goes. That's at 7 o'clock tonight. Heavy on the Serie A fallout from the league race underneath Inter, and there could be some fallout from Inter. Interesting conversations with Antonio Conte, who could be meeting with the front office today about future plans Also, he had a very interesting statement that we'll try to get to this morning about his thoughts on winning the title. But we'll get into all that tonight. Let's start with Atlanta and Seattle. I don't know what you guys have been able to cover from a salty takeaway perspective, but if you want to go back in the chat from yesterday, John, and on Twitter and find some tweets for us to discuss, that would be wonderful.
That's where we're starting. We'll start with Lieutenant Dave, who says, finally, with an exclamation point, a tie that feels like a win.
Absolutely it did. I loved it yesterday, and I know I'm in the minority, and that's fine. I think by now, I feel like this disclaimer, I might have to put this on the screen like from now on Twitch. These are opinions. These are opinions that many of you or some of you or few of you or all of you can disagree with. Absolutely. But these are opinions. And my opinion about the match yesterday was, one, I was kind of along the same vibe as Gabriel Heinze was afterwards. Team showed a lot. I think they showed a lot of huevos. I think they showed a lot of fight. They gave up a bad goal on a set piece. Brooks Lennon got beat by Raul Ruidiaz, and I have to go back and look at all the individual marks, but Heinze made it clear in his post-match comments it was 1v1, and it was Lennon and Ruidiaz, and Ruidiaz beat him, and there you go. They didn't fold after that, and they really wore Seattle down. And I think if you've seen the comments from Christian Roldan and Brian Schmetzer talking about being pinned in and not being able to get Alex Roldan and Bradley Smith forward very much because of the wide play from Atlanta United. I think that was a pretty big talking point with Nico Moreno last week. On Thursday, also on my run-up preview as well. That is something Atlanta United does very well. They take teams out of their comfort zone with that. Now, they have to produce more, and this is not new, and we've covered it and covered it and covered it, and I think I said it about 27 times on the full-time report yesterday. The final third has to be better. But I'm with Heinze. The work from the defensive third into the middle third into the final third is very good. Very, very good. Seattle's a good defensive team. Played in their half pretty much all day. Possession numbers, yeah, Seattle was able to sit back more. They were pushed back as well. And I think Schmetzer and Roldan's comments give you that glimpse. They weren't happy having to be, sitting back more and playing the way that they did. Now, one of the points I made that is an issue, because there's a lot of talk about Joseph Martinez's positioning. And I highly recommend going to Chris Smith's Twitter. Chris Smith writes for Last Word on Soccer. He's written for Dirty South Soccer. He's written for a variety of outlets. He broke down, I think using Y-Scout, Joseph's average position in the build-up in 2018 and 2019 and in 2021. Not that different. It's not that different. Here's the difference. The positioning where he is coming back to get some touches, not different. The timing of delivering the ball into him and others running into the final third is slower at the moment. That's an issue. The crosses have to be quicker when that is set up. Basic idea, and it doesn't always play out this way, but the very basic idea of what you're trying to do. Joseph gets a touch, drags the center back with him. You saw Arriaga coming out to chase him around a little bit. Okay. Drags somebody with him, plays it off. He loops back around to get into the final third. The idea is not for Joseph to be standing still, jumping straight up around three defenders trying to win headers. The idea is for him to be arriving when the cross is coming. Not just standing, not just static, but moving towards the cross, putting it on goal. That's the idea. That timing is not working right now. That timing is not working at all. That is an issue. That needs to improve. That is one very specific element of how the final third has to be better. That does come with time. But the positioning for Joseph is a red herring to me. That's not very different. I think Chris's graphics on his Twitter point that out. And especially 2019. 2018, he dropped deeper than I really remembered. But 2019, I mean, he played in the same way. He's a very talented player. He can give you this. You have to feed him when he makes that run properly. That's the part that's not happening enough. It can, and it needs to. And the crosses need to come quicker from Lennon, from Mulroney, from Bello, from Moreno. When that works, and it won't work every time. You don't just put a cross in just because. When that works, the crossers have to know. They have to get their head up. All right, Joseph has played it back. He's making his movement. The ball's come wide. It's on, play it. It's not on, recycle it, create another opportunity. That decision has to come faster. It felt like yesterday the crosses were hard to get in, also because Seattle's pretty good.
Yeah.
Alex Roldan and Bradley Smith have done a good job defensively. You have 3 center backs to deal with as well. They're good. They have not conceded a goal in open play all year long. That's a fact. And it's not an excuse. It's a fact. Seattle's a very good team. But that is something that will help Atlanta when they can get that movement paying off with quicker crosses, with quicker deliveries. That's what I saw really in a big way yesterday. I think Smith and Roldan did a good job of taking that stuff away as well. But Atlanta has to keep fighting through it. And I thought they did. I thought Emerson Hyndman, man, I want to see how much he ran yesterday. Constantly pass move, pass move, pass move, pass move. Need more of that. I thought Eric Lopez had a good 45 minutes. Really weird early yellow card because that wasn't called consistently throughout the match. Kellen Rowe had one in the 52nd minute that was the exact same thing and didn't get a yellow. To give Eric Lopez one in the 2nd minute, frustrating. He battled with Nuhu, who I thought was really good. It's the best that I've seen Nuhu play in a full game. I don't watch every Seattle game. Thought he was outstanding as a center back. Very physical. And the ref was allowing it, and he was doing it. No problem. He can use his arms to get people away from him. Cool. He did it to Eric Lopez a couple of times. Lopez didn't get frustrated, didn't pick up a second yellow. Mulroney came on, and I thought Mulroney was really good. The question I've seen a lot of places, and Jared, I want to ask you, what are you seeing in that battle right now? And this is assuming Jurgen Damm's not going to be back at any time soon. Not going to be back for this weekend anyway. Mulroney or Eric Lopez, which one makes the team better in the attack, in your opinion?
I think they are more. They have been more dynamic with Mulroney, but I think Mulroney might kind of be in that El Seno mode, where you put Mulroney on in the game, not necessarily to start, but to kind of shake things up.
Yeah, and hey, look, we see that. We see some players who are better in that role. That can happen with 5 subs. That can absolutely happen. We'll see. We'll see where that goes. Right now, I think Mulroney is the more dangerous player, but can he do it over a longer period of time? Lopez is also younger. And I thought his maturity showed after he got that yellow card on Nuhu and really battled with him. Nuhu got the better of him, but not by a lot. Lopez was all right. I thought the player who really stepped up the most yesterday was Franco Ibarra. Ibarra was Pac-Man. 6 tackles, 4 interceptions. He was everywhere. He was good on the ball, too, and that was the biggest question I had coming in. When that signing happened, we talked about it on SDH a lot, John, with he's coming from Argentinos Juniors. He wasn't really asked to be on the ball very much. The one thing that was popping out about his performances there, which was very limited, just he started in the Copa Diego Armando Maradona in the fall in closed-door games. Hadn't really seen him before that except for the academy stuff at Argentinos. But he had a long ball that was pretty good. Outside of that, he was making about 20 passes a game. He wasn't on the ball very much. Early on here, I thought he kind of struggled a little bit to make those decisions on the ball quicker. Yesterday, I thought he was very good, and being able to drop and let Sosa go forward a little bit more, that interchange was a nice touch.
And at the same time, it comes with time. It comes with familiarity, and it comes with adjustment. You're getting used to how things are. in Atlanta United's system with what Gabriel Heinze is asking you to do. And it's reps and game state. And that's why I think that you're seeing this growth. It's just kind of growing into MLS and growing into Atlanta United for me when it comes to what we're looking at from Franco Ibarra. And I know that Jarrett was exceedingly high on Ibarra, as was Nick last night when we were discussing things on Salty. And you're seeing young guys kind of taking the bit between their teeth, and they're getting adjusted and they're getting engaged and involved in what we're seeing so far with Atlanta United, Jared. I stunned him.
Yeah,
there we go.
You did. Yeah, I mean, it like I said last night, I mean, I appreciate the fact that he seems to take immense displeasure when someone else other than his team has the ball. And he has decided that he is going to remove that ball. And if you would like your leg to go with it, that's fine. He's happy to accommodate you. But his desire to be and I don't want to limit him to say he's just a ball winner, but to be a ball winner when it calls for it is just brings joy to my soul. But yeah, at the same time, I don't want to limit it and say, yeah, he's just a ball winner. He's more than that. He's talented. He can do more things. But that just personal offense he seems to take to not having possession of the ball, it just makes me cackle watching him play. And to Jason's point, and I caught the end of the broadcast, that was one of my favorite things in the last 4 minutes of the game when it started getting shit. It's like,
oh no, what did I do?
There have been times in the past when maybe, I don't know, you can start a fight with Atlanta. I'm not starting a fight with this Atlanta team.
No.
Oh yeah. I kind of like that one. They showed some edge. Man, Marcelino Moreno showed y'all edge when he went and just tried to kick a guy's head off against Club America.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ibarra's got edge to him. Jake Mulroney's got some edge to him. I don't know if people remember that Jake Mulroney's got some edge to him. And it not even just the red card against Cincinnati in the MLS's back tournament. That was a gameplay red. The dude's got some temper. He grew up in Dublin. He's going to be fine fighting you. This whole team's got some edge to it and got some fight to it. That was the thing that I really took away from yesterday was, if you had written up a script for Seattle for that game, I think it started as perfectly as they could have written it up. Oh, we got an early goal and we can sit back and counter Atlanta? Hell yeah. That's a great way to start life for 90 minutes if you're Seattle. It should be exactly what they want because that's been their recipe this year is, we're going to sit, we're going to rope-a-dope things a bit, we're going to deal with you, and then we're going to pop out on the counter and hit you, and we're fine living that way. It played out on a script to what Seattle would have liked. Didn't end the way they would have liked, but it certainly played out that way. But Atlanta didn't stop fighting. And I think that was something that, you haven't always seen, especially last year, when you're trying last year to just kind of put things together and it feels like everything's running against you. And there were games when you fought, but there was also some games where you just, you felt like you were just trying to get to the end of the season and hit the reset button and take a deep breath. And right now it doesn't feel like there is any reset button option. It is, put the dagger between your teeth and fight.
Dr. D thought I was close to dropping a John Nelson F-bomb on air. I was in no such form. No. I was in complete control of my F-bombs. If they had scored a winning goal on that sequence...
Oh, you would have been speaking in tongues if they'd done that.
I probably would have put the headset down and walked away, and you could have heard me yelling off in the distance. That one was what scared me because it just felt like, oh man, this is how it's gonna go. This is how it's gonna go. I love these kinds of games that have a lot of passion to it. That's what I took away from Atlanta United yesterday. Is it perfect? No, it's not. It needs to be better. You can't give up goals off set pieces on the road like that, but they found a way to take points out of Seattle, which nobody's done this year. Not many have done in general ever. And they did it they didn't play their best game. Atlanta didn't play its best game. Atlanta played well. And I know that's a source of contention for some, but Atlanta played well against the best team in the league. But it wasn't their best. I thought the first half against Philadelphia was better. But they found a way. I love that passion. I love the fight that you got from Franco Ibarra and Santi Sosa and Marcelino Moreno just battling. Alex Roldan did a good job on Marcelino Moreno. I think it was 2 out of 6 on the dribble. That's a little low for Marcelino. But he contributed in other ways. He created a chance, which he's done in every game he's played this season. Joseph, getting the penalty, stepping up, taking it, converting it. He said he was a little nervous. It was the first one he had taken since 2019. Buried it. And the ball from Miles Robinson.
It's the most clinical finish. Jesus.
Yeah.
He put the damn thing in the upper 90 after hesitation.
Yeah, it was perfect. And the ball from Robinson over the top to Lennon, those are the things that can emerge once you play the way that you do over time. And it was perfectly placed. And anybody who has, I think, questions about Miles Robinson's ability to make passes, that needs to go away. That take can be retired. Lennon did a great job. He draws the penalty. It's a clear-cut penalty, and there you go. You find your way back into it, and Joseph gets the goal. And I don't think they were really settling for the draw until the last 30 seconds. I think even the last ball from Gazan for Mulroney, it was a 1v1. Put it up. See what happens. If Jake gets a touch and gets in, cool, you got something. If not, then it is what it is, and it's out for a throw. And Seattle wanted no part at that point. You took the best team in the league to the point that we're at home. They were wasting time early in the second half, and they really didn't want it in the second half. You could tell, they were a little overwhelmed. That's a good step in the right direction. Brian Schmetzer was very complimentary after the match. Christian Roldan was very complimentary after the match. It's a good game, and it's something you can build on. You get the big win over Montreal late. You get the draw here where you have to fight for it. That is kind of shared battle DNA that you now have in this group. And I think players can trust one another more. They know that other guys have got their back. The fight is in this group. These are good results to build on.
And Seattle kind of put themselves in a weird spot in that game after the penalty too, because of the subs that Schmetzer had made. They were not really in a position to go chase a winner. They'd made subs to kind of shut things down in the last 10 minutes, and you give that goal, all of a sudden, Seattle's not, staggering, but they're very much on the defensive. They've kind of shut down the guns for the day, so it puts them in a weird spot. It's always one of those weird things when you see a team shut things down a bit, and not to say that they park a bus, but they kind of pull attacking guys off. Okay, we're going to see this out, and then we didn't see it out. Crap, we might have to turn the engine back on here for 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, when they subbed, was it Bruin for Leyva, if I remember correctly? And it's kind of wait a minute. They're going to maybe crowd the midfield. Maybe a Roldan goes into a free roll. Christian Roldan goes into a free roll up top. Okay. That was a defensive substitution. Now then they mixed things up around, after that. They brought on Freddie Montero, and we talked about it with Nico on Thursday. Montero and Rui Diaz are a little too similar to work well together up top. At that point, it's just play it long and see if they can make something happen on their own. Christian Roldan was good yesterday. He's so good at finding space. He is playing that free Nico Lodero role right now really, really well for them. He's got to be part of the U.S. men's national team for the Nations League semifinals and final, in my opinion, if the U.S. beats Honduras. I think he's in that good a form right now. Roldan is outstanding. Outstanding. He was dangerous yesterday. When he was able to find that space out wide, especially when Bello went, when Lennon would go, and Christian was able to drift out into that space, there's a problem. Atlanta scrambled and handled it pretty well. I thought Anton Walkes was really good again yesterday. Just such a rock. Anton Walkes. Feels like he very rarely puts a wrong foot forward. His development's been a blast to watch.
The Colonel came in and he said that this match was legitimate and righteous payback for and I'm not going to use the full word considering what happened late last week.
Yeah, be careful, John.
The BS Sounders brought to Ben's in 2018.
Thank you. I thought the team that tried to play was rewarded in this one. going on the road and getting results in this league, it's not a win. No, it's not. You always want the win. It's a good result. To go to Seattle, as good as they've been this year, as good as they are at home, and get the result, it's a good result. And I thought Atlanta earned that result. Did they earn more? No, they didn't. They shouldn't have won the match. Getting the 1-1 was what the game felt like it deserved. I'm sorry. I really, truly don't understand, and I think a lot of it is just down to like what you like in the game and what you don't like in the game. The takes about it being an awful game, I don't see that again, but I'm not judging my enjoyment based off of just goals. I'm not. I think you could see what Atlanta was trying to do tactically. You saw what Seattle was doing in response, and it was an interesting game for me. I thought it had a lot of passion to it. There's games that have no goals in them, but have passion and have big tackles and have big challenges and have controversial moments. Those are enjoyable too. But Atlanta tried to play, and I thought they were justly rewarded for trying to play on the road in Seattle. They didn't park the bus. They didn't just sit back. They didn't just settle for a draw. They tried to play. They tried to win the match. They ended up getting the 1-1, which felt like the right result.
I would argue that Seattle this certainly wasn't 2018 where Seattle
not at all.
Came in and tried to unmake the sport. Like this Seattle team is, like I said, this Seattle team is happy if they get that early goal. They're happy to sit back, absorb you because they are not 100%. And as they did to LAFC last week, they are happy to sit back on you and hit that counter and abuse you if you give them the opportunity, if you don't pin them back, like Atlanta was able to do with guys like Roldan and Smith. Like it is. I think it's an interesting example for the talk of the difference between someone who's parking a bus and playing for counter.
Yeah, there's differences. Seattle wasn't negative in this one. They knew they were getting controlled at home, and I think their substitutions in the second half reflected that. They wanted to secure the win. Seattle's never playing for style points. I do think Atlanta has an idea of a style and a philosophy and a manner in which they want to play. I don't think Seattle really cares. And it's not that one's right or the other. It's just it's different mentalities coming in. Atlanta wants to do things in a certain way. Seattle just wants to get results, period. They want to win their home games. They want to get points on the road. They just want to get results. They don't really care how it comes across. It's all about the individuals. And that's fine. And it's worked for Brian Schmetzer. I mean, you can't really complain about it. But I do appreciate a team that is trying to play good soccer. And I really do feel like Atlanta United is trying to play good soccer. Are they always doing it? No, they're not. But I feel like the intent is there, and I really appreciate it. And I thought we saw more of it yesterday, along with grit, along with fight, along with a battle to try to get back into this against a good team, and ultimately they did.
Before we get back into the timeline, breaking news sounder, please.
Okay.
Dateline, Foxborough. Carlos Gil signed a contract extension with the New England Revolution. The club announced about 20 minutes ago. DP re-signed through the 2024 season. Ever since he has shown up since his time at Deportivo La Coruña. MLS Newcomer of the Year, MLS Best 11, 10 goals, 14 assists, 2019. And this season, he leads currently tied for the league lead in assists with 4. Pacing MLS in chances created, big chances created, completed dribbles, successful crosses and corners for a Revolution side that sits first in the East. So Carlos Gil under contract through 2024.
He was pacing my fantasy team this weekend, that's for sure. Captain Carlos Gil, I'm surprised that they hadn't done this sooner. Incredible signing. Just an absolutely incredible signing. He's a joy to watch on the field. Carlos Gil's an incredible player. And another Spaniard who could be maybe not Carlos Gil completely-esque because he's a little bit older, but a player who I think is going to be available on a free this summer, and there are MLS teams who should absolutely be banging on his door, standing outside with the boombox. Juan Mata. He's different. He's not the same player as Carlos Gil, but I've always felt like Juan Mata would be a hit in this league in the right situation. There's teams that could use him. I'm curious if he wants to make that move, but it looks like he's going to be leaving Manchester United, and that feels like a very good signing for some MLS teams. One other bit before we jump back into the timeline. Jamie Watson, who worked in Orlando, played in Orlando, is now color commentator for Nashville on TV. He's also been in Minnesota. He just tweeted a little bit ago, he said, to all my Vamos Orlando fans, using the hashtag, I've had conversations with people close to the Wilfs and can tell you they have big plans for the club. And he mentioned the supporters groups, and he said they should be thrilled, in all caps, at this new group of ownership coming in, game-changing for OCSC. Very curious to see what their big plans are for the club. But the Wilfs, it sounds like it's a done deal. They were there. They were in the stadium. That could be very, very large for our friends in Central Florida, and we will see what the Wilfs have planned. What else we got on the Twitter timeline, John?
Drew Gano in our Jake Mulroney discussion. Overall, a well-played game. Atlanta looks like they're making progress, even with a couple defensive lapses and a lack of real opportunities. Also, Atlanta looks better with Mulroney, Drew says. They just seem quicker up top when he's in.
Yeah, Mulroney's just a little more north-south. You know, he's a little more direct, and at times I think this team needs that, and that's fine. He can at times get a little windy road kind of action as well, and not be as direct as he needs to be. But in general, I think he's a little more direct, a little more experienced than Eric Lopez. I would like to see Mulroney from the start against Nashville, maybe to try to keep Daniel Lovitz from getting forward as much as he likes to do on that left side, pinning him in a little bit. If Moreno's able to pin Alistair Johnston in a little bit on the other side, I like that setup. Again, for Atlanta, it's something that Atlanta has done against almost everybody. They've made it difficult for outside backs to get involved in the play. And that limits some teams that like to get their outside backs involved in the play. It's a big part for a lot of teams in their attack, Jarrett. And if you're able to do that, it's effective. And Eric Lopez has done that. Can he give you more in the attack portion of his play, or is Jake Mulroney the better option? I'm leaning more to Mulroney at this point.
Like I said, I think Mulroney's a guy who is at his best when he's coming off the bench. I don't blame you if you want to start him against a guy like Lovitz because of the speed he can bring you. The thing I would caution with Lopez, and I use caution even because I can't think of a better word off the top of my head right now because I didn't get enough sleep. He's still a teenager. You got to be patient with him. And I know people were really excited about Lopez last year, and I hope that excitement hasn't waned because he is talented. Just because he hasn't come and set the world on fire, it's going to be okay. I mean, it's got to be a work in progress, and I think you be patient with him. I really think he can be a lot of fun in this league and a lot of fun for this team. He's going to need minutes, and you can't simulate these game minutes. And I think he's looked better. For my opinion, he's looked better every time he's gotten out there. I mean, it might not always come across statistically, but I thought he's looked better. I won't be mad if you start Mulroney, but I'm very much in like the Mulroney can be Ilsinho bandwagon.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, that's what I was looking at with Jake. It seems like, and with the depth that Atlanta United has on their roster, you bring in somebody like Jake in that 60, 65-minute range, somewhere in there. You've got fresh legs going up against tired legs. Just have Jake go out there and do his thing. And with the speed and skill that's there, and you're putting that defense that's probably already a little gassed back on their heels. And so that's why I'm of that thought pattern also, where you bring Jake in with 30 to go or so, and then you just have him do his thing. And I think that right now that's where he's best served when it comes to what we're seeing from Jake.
Yeah, and that is one element to this. And we've had this conversation about attacking substitutions. Would Eric Lopez be an effective player coming off the bench in those moments? Or is it better to start him, get what you can, bring on Jake off the bench? I can absolutely see the value in that. I can absolutely see that value right now. And maybe that's just the best way at the moment. The questions are going to come, and they should come, about Jurgen Damm. When is he coming? When is he back? Can he play? Can he keep his hamstring from going out again? That's been the biggest frustration, is it's been constantly a hamstring with him. Ezequiel Barco, more in the middle. Can he get back in here and pick out a pass? I feel like this team would be further along if Barco hadn't gotten hurt.
Yeah.
You're having to find another way. I think Emerson Hyndman is trying to bridge some of that gap. Moreno is being very interchangeable on that. I think yesterday it was interesting. They did something a little different. They overloaded the left side quite a bit with Mulraney, with Moreno over there, really leaving the right side just to Brooks Lennon. The left side, they were trying to create 3v2s and 4v3s and bunch everybody there. It didn't work as well as I think the intention was, but that was something we haven't seen quite as much of from this team in those overload situations. They're finding new things, kind of adding into the wrinkles each game. We talked about it with the work from playing the ball down the left to create the opportunity for Lennon on the right to hit a cross. We've seen that in some matches. This is a team that has an idea of things they want to do to exploit the opposition as they go. And this is happening while Gabriel Heinze and his staff are learning the league. They're getting to know the different teams. They're getting to know their own players and what they can do, how far they can go outside of their comfort zone, things like that. So, again, the road they're on, I like. I'd love for them to be further along, but I don't want them to get off the road they're on. I don't want them to take the quick exit and go get some junk food. Keep going. Go to the good restaurant at the end of the road. Don't settle for the buffet.
Don't get the Walmart muffins?
Don't get the Walmart muffins. Go to the good bakery at the end of the road. The really good one. Now, that is a little ways down the road. The really, really good. Skip the Publix, too. Keep going.
The one that's tucked away in the neighborhood that's been there forever, that has the great reputation for all the good stuff.
Sure.
That was suspiciously specific.
That was, and I don't even want to know what else it could be referring to. Don't go to the Walmart bakery. Keep going. Don't stop at the Quick Trip for roller food. Absolutely, Coco. Don't do it. We've all done it. We've all done it. We've all done that from time to time. Don't do it here.
Because the taquitos and the dogs at a certain time at Quick Trip can really be
But
satisfying.
don't do it. Keep going. Go get the real Mexican food. Don't get the taquito. I agree, Ricky. This is a hell of an analogy. Sometimes things happen on Monday mornings after not much sleep and a couple Red Bulls. It can happen.
Yeah. Yes.
Don't jump off the road and get the cheap fast food. Keep going and eat well.
Whittlove is in this morning. And Will says, Doyle et al. Will say that Seattle became too passive, but at what point does the counter-pressing and pressing get credit for eliminating the threat from Seattle? Second half, they elected to take all goal kicks long. Ibarra and Sosa interchange was a fun new wrinkle.
Yeah, I didn't think they got passive. I think they got pushed back. And Schmetzer and Roldan kind of said as much. So I don't think Seattle got passive. I think Atlanta does need the credit. And Schmetzer and Roldan gave it. And that's the important thing. They were involved in the match. So I really did like the Ibarra-Sosa interchange. And that's a credit to Ibarra's increased comfort. 100%. His increased comfort on the ball, you can do that more. Go ahead, Jared.
So now we ask the question, when Barco comes back, who's going to the bench?
I think it'll depend on the game. And I think that was always the intention is, in games like this one against two forwards when you don't have Alan Franco and Santi Sosa has to play that hybrid, which is really hard to do, by the way. Really hard to do. It never felt like they were caught out with 2 against 2 because Sosa was able to handle those moments in transition, or Ibarra was when it wasn't Sosa. But Sosa was able to get forward a little bit more at times. The interchange was part of it, but that's really hard to do. And that is a little bit of a bending of the philosophy from Gabriel Heinze to suit what he has here. And that's what good managers do. I was kind of thoughtful this morning about the reactions to Pep Guardiola in year 1 in England. Gary Neville said he can't win in England playing the way he's playing. You just can't. Gotta have more defense from that front 5. Got to be more physical. Can't do it. Well, he won 3 out of 5 titles, but anyway, and he went back to back with record point totals. But anyway, he also adapted too, and he's adapted while on the job in different ways. He adapted his ideas to England to begin with, And this year especially, he adapted to what suited this team best. He played a lot of false nine this year. More than usual. I think everybody associates false nine with Pep and, Messi was false nine all the time. Not really. He was false nine a fair bit, but that was kind of a special thing. This year, look, it's what suited the team. So he did it a lot. He changed things up this year. They did things differently because of what this season called for. Gabriel Heinze is adapting, not just having Sosa sit completely deep against two forwards. It's like, okay, we can play if we are good up in the attack and we are good in pinning the other team back. We can deal with them playing long in those moments. We're okay with this. So you can take a few more chances. That's a good thing to see. And the Ibarra-Sosa interchange, very good. There's elements that feel like they're growing as Heinze gets to know the group more. I love to see that. And I think it's a sign of a very good, very thoughtful manager. Intense is the word that gets used a lot because of his emotional intensity. Intensity of putting in the work. I don't know when he takes a break from thinking about how this team can be better because you're seeing these little things come pretty quickly. It's a credit. It's a credit to him. It's a credit to his staff. It's a credit to the players for absorbing it all.
Day is in and says the difference between Atlanta United being undefeated is a New England penalty. More goals would be nice, though.
Yeah. That's absolutely true. Will says, is Sosa a false six? Yes, I love it. He is a false six. That's amazing. I like that. We're gonna use false everythings from now on. I do also possibly agree with the Airborne DJ about if you are gonna go to the roller grill, which again we all do from time to time. Racetrack over Quick Trip if possible. He says the dogs at Racetrack are vastly superior to Quick Trips.
Okay. Good to know.
I don't have as many racetracks handy.
And that's my problem.
Sorry.
I don't have as many racetracks in my area than Quick Trip.
I do like Racetrack's general food options better. They have more of them. That part is true. I don't know if I've had the dogs at Racetrack, so I can't really speak on that part. But yes, sometimes you got to do it. But try not to. Try to stay on the good road.
Let's see. Nathan Pugh is in this morning. Quote, and he's quoting Bill Shankly. Quote, a football team is like a piano. You need 8 men to carry it and 3 who can play the damn thing. My eyes show me that these boys will carry that piano to the gates of hell. Once we can have a Billy Joel, Lackey Wiggle, and Elton John step up and are dueling away consistently, we'll be unstoppable. And by we, I mean they. I'm not out there playing. And he's wrapping up, Nathan, his early morning statements by saying, up the Reds, John, that is all.
Nathan should be proud of his Reds. Incredible to get into the Champions League. Not really surprised that it came at Leicester's expense, although I'm surprised in the way that it came at Leicester's expense. Yeah. I didn't expect Chelsea to lose. I picked
Chelsea to be the odd team out, and I felt really good about that. And then Chelsea just...
Well, Chelsea didn't really do anything. Leicester went because I predicted the other way. I got it right in who would go and who would miss out, but I didn't see it being Chelsea losing and Leicester also losing.
No, I did not.
I didn't see that happening at all. Yes, Modiflow, you step away and we all lose the plot. It's all your fault.
Yes.
It is all your fault, Jorge. All your fault. All right, what else we got? I think we've got Jarrett for another 5 minutes or so.
Okay, Ropes is in. It was a tough draw. They fought hard, and I'm really curious how the attack will click with a healthy Barco. On another note, my fingers are crossed that Everton will make some signings that will push them into a European spot next season.
I hope so, for Everton's sake. I still don't know what to make of them. We'll have to see. There's going to be so much changeover in leagues in Europe this year, I think. Potentially, anyway. I want to see how it shakes out. It's too early for me to say they get into Europe, but I thought they would be battling for that this year. I was disappointed with how things kind of turned for them.
Also on the board, Colin Martz with a question about the twos. He says, can we talk about not having hydration breaks in 90-plus degree weather in the Atlanta United 2 match? Unacceptable in the current soccer landscape.
Yeah, that was weird. I didn't know that didn't happen. I know it was in the 80s, and I thought they went by wet bulb temperature. Maybe that's just a European thing. I don't know. But I thought if it was over 90, it was a guaranteed hydration break. And I would have assumed if it was in the upper 80s temperature-wise that would have been the case. I'm surprised they didn't err on the side of caution with that.
Kevin from Charlotte is in. He says, I thought Atlanta controlled the tempo of the match and started to mix up the attack more in this match. It didn't seem like Cross City FC. I still think we're missing some productive attacking pieces, not speaking of Dom and Barco, like Ibarra and Eric starting and Mulroney as a sub. So that goes with one of the themes we've had this morning.
Some of that not being able to put in as many crosses is down to the way Seattle played and down to their wing-backs who were pinned deeper and did well in their 1v1s. But Atlanta found other ways. And that ball over the top that we saw from Robinson, that does need to happen more. I don't want to see it all day. I don't want to see it early. I want to see Atlanta build the way that they built yesterday and continue to, it's almost like a old school boxer who would work the body to set up the knockout. Take the wind out of them and create that opportunity with that ball over the top when the opponent's not ready for it. Because you got to be careful. If you just hit it a bunch and you hit it too early, you're not ready to deal with the time that it's mishit or the time that the aerial battle is won and it comes right back down your throat. So much of this team in possession is based on how they defend. And that's not new from 2019 either. That's a classic, positional play, Barca, Rinus Michels, Johan Cruyff, all of those guys, Louis van Gaal, all of it. They all have different approaches to it, but possession, and Guardiola said it many times, it is at times not a defensive tactic to just keep the ball to do nothing with it. I don't think that's what Heinze wants to do. That's definitely not what Guardiola wants to do. But it can be a organizational tactic to stay organized, to keep the shape, to be able to deal with those transitions. And Nico Moreno nailed it on Thursday when he said the thing that makes Seattle really good is their transitions. They weren't able to do that very much yesterday because of the ball for Atlanta with the possession, but also using the possession to stay organized. I thought Atlanta handled the transitions, Jarrett, really well and took that element away. Not completely because Seattle's good, but took that element away many, many times from the Sounders, something that is their bread and butter.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is going to be – it's one of those things where I think teams are going to look at that and go, oh, that's how we can slow down the Sounders as they're built right now, maybe until they get Ladero back. And, they'll change things up. Jordan Morris will come back, I don't know, next year. I mean, to blow an ACL apart. It's going to be interesting because you can sit there and say, hey, that's how you can slow them down, but – to say and see it and to execute it are two different things for some teams. Does that mean you've seen just kind of a way you want to pin them back? But you still have to be smart about it because let's say you try and pin them back and then you just decide to start letting Christian Roldan find those empty spaces and okay, we pinned their wings back. Why is Christian Roldan dribbling 40 yards with the ball?
Yeah. And that's... If you take away one thing, they're going to try to find another way. They're trying to win this game too, right? They're going to find something else to do. And Roldan, when Alex Roldan and Bradley Smith weren't able to get into those spaces out wide, Christian Roldan's like, hey, that looks nice. I'm going to go over there. I'm going to go find that space over there and use it. That's what good teams do. There's, this is the chess match.
One more. I'm done. Yeah. Oh, you're done? Okay.
Wow, okay.
On that note, I'm done.
You're just dropping the mic on that?
Yeah. Got quiet in here. I'm going to walk out and enjoy the silence of Madison Square Garden and enjoy my night. Enjoy my morning, I guess.
Yes, Trae Young. That was excellent.
I don't know why Trae Young is the villain when people were chanting at him from the opening
Seriously.
And he tells them to be quiet. Like, he's the villain we need. How is he the villain?
I see people like, oh, he's taking a victory lap after a win. You chant your arena chanted at him
Your arena
He put up
chanted
a
using the
32,
sixth
10,
letter of the
7 with one
alphabet.
turnout, won the game on a runner because you put in a cold defender who got crossed up with Taj Gibson at the top of the 3-point line. I don't want to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
If he keeps doing this, Reggie and MJ are going to come out of retirement to reclaim the Garden.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Michael will absolutely do it too.
Yeah, he will.
If Trae Young starts dropping 50-point games in the Garden in the playoffs, Michael they're going to have to hold him back from coming out of retirement to reclaim anything he might lose record-wise.
All right, Jarrett, you were going to leave. It's time to go.
Fine.
We'll see you tonight on Soccer Over There.
Sounds good. Take care, y'all.
You too, Jarrett_Smith. All right, John, you've got a read to do.
Yes, I do.
Are you ready?
Oh, why not?
All right. We will be doing some new things in this segment coming up very soon, but not yet. John's going to tell us about our good friend Steve Apolinsky.
Apolinsky and Associates, LLC, proud supporters of everything soccer down here in the SDH network. For wrongful death and serious injury matters, there's one place you need to go, and it's Apolinsky and Associates, LLC. A couple different ways that you can do it. You can shoot Steve an email directly, steve@aa-legal.com. Pick up the phone, give him a call, get a free consultation, 404-377-9191. Or you can go on the World Wide Web. Type in aa-legal.com in the address bar. Then hit the arrow key, the return key, the arrow key, whatever advances you to the homepage, and you get all the information you would ever need or want about Apolinsky and Associates, LLC. Pull down tabs about all the different cases they can handle, all the awards that they have won in their over 30 years of experience, garnering over $40 million for judgments in clients for Georgia and Alabama. So you have two time zones in play, the Eastern and the Central. And if you, by looking at the website, still have questions that have not been answered by all the activity that is there in front of you, there's a pop-up window that pops up, because that's what pop-up windows do. They pop up 24/7, 365 and a quarter. Recognized as Legal Elite by Georgia Trend Magazine for being one of the top 100 firms in this here state of Georgia for wrongful death and serious injury matters. One place you need to go. It's Apolinsky and Associates, LLC, and the website is aa-legal.com.
All right. We will see how the people feel about John's score. And, John, don't start reading people's things without reading it to yourself.
Yeah, really?
Don't just start throwing things in there. Be careful. Just be careful. That's all.
Jason Nix is still kind of put off from my from below lighting.
Okay. All right. -1 kind of stumbled there. 100 out of 100.
Oh.
10 out of 10. Great job. 8 out of 10. 8.6 out of 10. Manic Monday started really fast. -4. Still quick. -2. Love the Jazz Fingers. +3. Total 7.
Okay.
Double arrow reference and no return key. He's not Robin Hood. You don't read punctuation. 7 out of 10. 8.5. Of course, a 10 from Alex Basine.
Thank you, Alex.
-1. Oh, why not is not a good promotional phrase. -7. The comma has to stop. +1 for Good Sports Day yesterday. +1 for new Twitch pitch, but bonuses were unnecessary. 3.9781.
Thank you, Sean.
9.5 because the Hawks won.
Thank you, Bern.
Yes, Domer did scar me, absolutely. 9.78. Your chin and your chest are well lit. That's 7. That didn't really help much. 8.5 because of Monday.
Yes, thank you, Perfect Time.
Too many award scales need to standardize. That's a good point. It's a little hard to follow.
Okay.
Okay. Shiva with a question, and I was trying to find it. I don't have the exact quote in front of me. Joseph spoke to the media after the game yesterday, and I think roughly there was a line about, if you don't create more chances, you're not going to win more games, which is true. They need to create more chances. I think maybe I'd go a step further and say they need to create better chances out of what they're creating, because up until, I think, the last 2, they've created double-digit chances. They were in the top 10 in chances created per game. I think that's slipped a little bit. They created more chances than Seattle did yesterday, by the way. So, kind of the way the game played out is the way the game played out. But they do need to create higher quality chances. When you go that step further on numbers, and I test lends itself to this too. where they're creating some chances, they're maybe not the greatest. The XG would back that up. The XG is lower than the actual key passes per game that you're creating in terms of rankings. There's a disparity there. That is generally down to the quality of the chances that are being created. So it needs to be better. He's right. Of course a forward would say that. There's nothing wrong with what he said. I think some are trying to find meaning in that, saying the same things that we've heard in the past. Oh, he's angry. Oh, he's frustrated. Oh, this, that. I didn't get that sense at all. I didn't get a sense that he's worried about anything. Kefsey says it was in the context of, is he worried? And he said no. Also a case of the question leading the response. I didn't get that vibe from him. It was in the full-time report, so you can go back and listen to that on the Off the Woodwork folder. I believe that has been posted. Sometimes it gets a little weird when it's coming over from Star 94, but I'll make sure that goes up in our post-game show. We had a lot of the media availability with Gabriel Heinze, with Brad Kazan, and with Joseph Martinez on the show yesterday. So, and that might get posted as well on Atlanta United's YouTube, all in its entirety. We aired a good bit of it. Shiva said he said you win with goals, not with possession. I don't think this means he's anti-possession. No, I didn't see that at all. He's saying that possession by itself doesn't do it.
Yeah. The quote that was released after the match on that, on his confidence level that more scoring chances will come, Joseph, quote, hopefully, yes, if we don't create chances, we don't have the possibility to win a game. Mm-hmm. You can have the ball all game. You can run more than the other team, but if you don't create chances, you don't win. In soccer, you win with goals, not with possession, but we are happy. It's not easy to get a point away against another amazing team, so we have to keep working and see what happens, end quote.
Yeah, I think if you are going to try to find something in that, okay, have at it. But I didn't get the sense of, I think, where people are trying to take it. Yeah. I just didn't get that. Anyway, but that's just me. So anything else on Twitter that we haven't touched yet?
Yeah, we got a couple.
Okay, what we got?
Chris Hutchison says, no 20 to 30-minute period of somnambulance that has plagued this team the last couple of years. Delighted that the team didn't deflate after the early Seattle goal. A tie on the road against the MLS leaders is great. These are a few of my favorite things.
This is kind of where I would ask the question of the crowd who is very unhappy. What specifically that you can control in the way that a team plays do you want to see different? Because just saying more goals is not a reasonable response. It's not that easy. You can't say, I just want more goals. Well, everybody does, no matter how you play. Big Sam wants more goals, but Big Sam
tries gravy too.
Yes, he does, but that's just mean. Big Sam wants more goals. Steve Bruce wants more goals. Steve Bruce's team actually scored a decent bit of goals this year. Maybe we're being mean to Steve Bruce. I don't think so, but maybe.
Sorry, Alex.
No, they finished 12th. No more sorry, Alex. Mm-mm.
Well, it might be sorry. Well, that's the thing. Is even despite Steve Bruce early in the year, they still finished 12th.
Mm-mm. No more sorry, Alex. No more 12th. No more.
So we're not going to make the T-shirt now.
No. Not until they fall apart next year under Steve Bruce, which is very likely. Right now, nope. Sorry, Alex is put on a shelf until the start of next season. They finished 12th. That's pretty good for Newcastle. So anyway,
that's just true.
Let's continue. What is it in the way that a team can play? Alex Pacine. You're funny, man. What is it that in the way a team can play do you want to see different? Is it you don't want to see possession, worked possession? You want to see direct play, just more vertical play. Okay, how do you deal with the inevitable not winning the 50-50 on a vertical ball and then defending it? How does that get handled? These are the questions as you get into philosophy and style. I was never as down on Frank de Boer until I think he botched the MLS's back tournament. I I think he got it wrong. I don't think he settled on what he wanted to do up top. I was very, very frustrated with that. I liked where 2020 was potentially going before Joseph's injury. 2019 Atlanta United and this Atlanta United are not that similar, in my opinion, in terms of the pace of play. And I think a lot of people have pointed to something like that. I think this team is playing faster. I think they're playing in the other half more. They're definitely getting more numbers forward. They're definitely defending higher. It's a more appealing just for a neutral to me than it was in 2019. So what needs to be different beyond saying just scoring goals?
Yeah.
Beyond saying just scoring goals. Emilio, come on, don't unsubscribe. I'm not a Steve Bruce fan. I'm not a Steve Bruce fan, but maybe we were a little hard on him. Maybe. That was one of the narratives going around in England, was that, well, when he got everybody healthy, look, this is what Steve Bruce can do.
Well, and when you also can bring in, was it Graham James from Bournemouth to be your number 2 to add some
so
offensive philosophy.
you're not going to give Steve Bruce any credit? You're going to put it on the other guy?
Sure, why not?
I don't know. I don't know. But they ended up doing okay. They should aspire to more than 12.
Yes.
That is what needs to be next. But
absolutely.
If Steve Bruce goes into the next season saying he's just trying to keep the team up again, don't worry, I'll riot. I will 100% riot. So yeah, I mean, I'm tempted to see what. It's not the Steve Bruce Appreciation Society, Patrick Sullivan. You're going to get me in trouble. I would like to see what people want to see more. Strummer John, good one. I'd like to see the midfield take some chances on more passes in the first half of the pitch. Now that one worries me. Not in the first half for me, in the attacking half, and maybe that's what you mean. I would like to see when they do get into the other team's half, when they are set to deal with the transition and the counter, yes, take a few more chances there. Let it rip a little bit with movement and with the passes being delivered. Would love to see that. I think they're still getting comfortable in playing this way. I get it. That needs to continue to develop. It needs to get quicker. It needs to get more risk-taking in those moments because they need to trust that it can be defended behind them. I think this team's shown enough defensively that they can handle that. I don't want to see them take more risks in the defensive half. I want to see it in the attacking half. Dunga says, do you see any changes with the summer transfer window? I think they'll listen because I think Atlanta United has done that in pretty much every window. Even windows where we didn't really see a change necessarily coming. Nobody saw Darlington Nagbe coming after 2017 when he did. It became known when Caleb Porter left Portland that Darlington Nagbe was willing to leave Portland. And Atlanta pounced on it and got him. Nobody saw that one coming. Justin Merrim in 2019. Nobody saw that one coming. And he was available, and Atlanta pounced on it. And both paid off in different ways. Eric Remedi was a player who was, not like at the top of everybody's list coming out of Argentina in the summer of 2018. But they went and got him, and he filled a big need when Nagbe was hurt in 2018. So I think they've always listened, and this is a weird summer window in that there could be a lot to listen to. Because there could be a lot of teams, especially in South America, where there's connections and where there's relationships. You can have a lot of teams that have to sell. I mean, we're seeing Brazilians come to this league in larger numbers than ever. Brazil has generally not needed to sell to MLS because they've been able to send guys directly to Europe. The fact that more young Brazilians are coming here instead is very interesting. There's always the Argentine market. I am with El Mataflow, and I will consistently say this. MLS needs to shop in Ecuador more. I think, bang for your buck, Ecuador is a great place to do shopping and get players. I think it's probably the best pure value. Now, you want to get guys who can make the jump to the level. You also want to have some patience for players maybe coming from a smaller club, players who haven't had as much Libertadores or Sudamericana experience. Okay. It can be worth it. I think that's a huge opportunity because the values are lower in Ecuador. Go shopping. Would love to see that happen more. But this summer, I think there will be available deals And Atlanta has shown a willingness to be in on those markets, even if you don't expect them to be. Eric Lopez is one. I mean, to be perfectly honest, nobody expected Eric Lopez to come. Nobody expected Atlanta to be shopping in that position at that time. And Eric Lopez is a very young player who's still developing. He hasn't even played 20 professional games yet. Okay. There's going to be more opportunities like that this summer. So I think they could, Dunga. I don't think they're in panic mode in any way. But yeah, I think they'll be busy in the summer because I think there'll be opportunities to be busy.
The key here for any successful club is to always listen. Make sure that your door is always open. Make sure that your phone is always fully charged, because you never know when those opportunities are going to be presented to you. And if you're always open-minded toward an acquisition like those, if you're not out there and you're not listening, if you're not paying attention to the wind and you're not sitting there and looking at seeing how, the marketplace is, then you're closing yourself off from improvement. You're also closing yourself off from investment. So I think that the key for any good club in any window is to always listen, even if you're not sitting there and you've got a list that's 4 or 5 players deep or 4 or 5 positions deep. You never know when that opportunity is going to present itself. And so you have to listen, especially with the landscape being what it is economically, to improve yourself and possibly improve yourself in an economic manner, especially in this current landscape when we're talking about the soccer economy. If you can improve, why shut yourself off from that? I don't think that any good club does that.
No, 100%. You have to be paying attention to what opportunities could come. Strummer John was talking about the attacking half in the earlier thing about taking more chances in that half. Movement off the ball on the same page. I think that's part of that opportunity as well to create more. At times there is some standing still, and I think at times the movement it just disappears. It dries up. That needs to change. Heinemann is one who I constantly see passing move, pass move, pass move. More of that. Bello, I think, is really trying to get it. Heinze talked about it earlier in the year that the things that they're asking George Bello to do, he hasn't really been in a position to do those before. Right? And Mikey Ambrose, I thought, explained it best when we talked to him before the season started. Under Tata Martino, it was go and overlap, go and overlap, go and overlap, keep going, keep going, keep going. That's what you did. Here it's not. It's sometimes overlap, sometimes underlap, sometimes tuck into the midfield. It's keeping the triangle on that side together. That's a different way of thinking for a young player in George Bello. I think he's picking it up really, really well. I thought he was a little shaky early on yesterday, but he bounced back and played well. He had some mistakes early. I think the pressure was big for him, and he struggled a little bit first 10, 15. Beyond that, he was very good, and he was very dangerous as he was starting to beat people in the midfield. I'd love to see him let loose a little bit more. Trust it. I think that's what I keep coming back to for what Strummer John's saying, and just the way that I'm seeing the final third is trust it. Get set, do it the right way. I mean, Guardiola said it, and he's not counting them on the sideline, but he said 15 passes is the way you are properly structured when you go forward. It takes 15 passes to get there. Okay. So whatever number it is for you, and sometimes it's less, sometimes it's more, what have you. But once you're properly structured, let it rip. Let it rip. Take chances. If that's Bello and Lennon bombing forward, if that's 7 in the attack and you're defending with 3 against their 2 because you've pinned everybody else back, cool. You're good. Let it go. Let it go and let it rip. And take some shots from distance from time to time. That's something that needs to happen a little bit more. It can pull a defense out a bit. But yeah, just more variety. More variety. The wingers cutting inside and running to goal from that angle. Not just always taking it down and putting in a cross. I'd love to see Brooks Lennon come inside a little bit more. His left foot's fine. He can do that. I love when Bello does, because I think Bello's really crafty when he comes across because he's very left-footed. But he uses the outside of his left foot really well, and he can slip some passes in that are completely unexpected. Moreno cuts across because obviously he's an inverted winger. He can cut across and do really well. Love to see more of that from the other side. Just more variety, and it's trust. It just keeps coming back to trust for me. Clayton Paw says, I'd like to see our midfield run more towards goal. I feel like these guys were brought in for their talent on the ball. I think it's something we talked about last week with the idea on some of these crosses. I did feel like numbers were getting into the box better yesterday. But being able to have the second wave come through, not just to get a cross like the Mulroney one to Marcelino Moreno in the Montreal match that is deeper, but to pick up the loose header, to pick up the half clearance, to pick up the press immediately when the opponent does try to settle it and play. That second wave is critical, and it gets back to a little bit of structure to what you're trying to do. The central midfielders are so important in this way of playing in those situations. They're not as much of creators as they are finishers of sequences. The wingers are more of the creators of sequences. So those central midfielders, and when it's Heinemann, when it's Moreno, when it's Ibarra, when it's Sosa when he steps forward, they have to finish things and be in the right positions to finish things a little bit more. Strummer John asked about numbers in the box. I think it's the second wave. That's what I keep coming back to the more I look at it. Drew Gano, they definitely seem more direct, or at least move forward with Mulroney on the pitch. It's his personality. He's more of a direct player. Pacine, Sosa makes a mistake every once in a while, but I think he is our most instinctive and decisive passer. He looks up and then pulls the trigger. 100%. And you got to be willing to make those mistakes sometimes, and he is. He will do it in the right places where he does risk it a little bit more. Sosa's just brilliant on the ball. Would he be able to do that further up the field? I don't know. I think he's better suited to sitting deeper. That's what is best for him. But if Ibarra continues to develop, especially on the ball, it does give you the ability to get Sosa forward more and see what it would look like. Some talk about bringing in Kai Kamara, who is available as a free agent. I don't know. What I hope happens is Jackson Conway develops into that guy who gets those minutes. I think yesterday Mike was dead on in how I felt about it as well. In that situation, after the equalizer, Kubo Torres was probably the better fit for his work, especially his pressing off the ball. I think he's very good at that. And it was essential to not letting Seattle build anything out and create anything. I'd like to see Conway in those moments. I'd like to see Conway get on the field in MLS and see what he can do in the right moments. I'd love to see him against Nashville if the timing is right. I'd like to see him be that guy instead of somebody else coming in and potentially taking those minutes away. If that's the case, if Conway's not ready for those moments yet, and we're not seeing training, so I can't tell you if he is or he isn't. I've seen him with Atlanta United 2 in previous years. I think he's really close, but without seeing training, it's a guessing game. If it is judged that he is not, and somebody else does come in to be the third guy or the second guy if they jump Kubo Torres, I'd like to see Jackson Conway get loaned out so he can play. And not with the twos. I'd like to see him go play somewhere because I think that would help. I would like to see that. But, again, without seeing training, I don't know if it's the right decision or not. I do know what Kubo Torres brings, and I thought yesterday, I understood the sub. I understood what it was all about. But I'd like to see Jackson get some opportunities too. Okay, anything else on Twitter we haven't hit yet?
Yes.
Okay, what we got?
Colonel's back in, and he says, the Swans to Wembley and the Stripes get an away point against the best in the West. Not sure which is better, but my cup runneth over. Also, yesterday was the first 3 points for MLS East over West with the Nashville win over Austin.
Yeah, which was expected. It was a good week. I mean, Colonel gets Swansea in. Mindy Kaling's happy. I don't know if John's happy. He seems to have a love-hate relationship with Swansea sometimes.
I know. And,
I don't get it. It's really weird. Be happy, man.
Well, and
even when they only complete 43% of their passes.
Yeah, and Brentford right now on Saturday is a minus 111 early favorite to win the world's richest football match. Swansea is a plus 345, and your 90-minute even score is a plus 240. So
I just want to see Swansea complete more than 50% of their passes. I would like to see that. Mindy Kaling would be very happy.
I would like that as well.
I want Mindy Kaling to be happy. More than John. I want Mindy Kaling to be happy.
Yes. Forget John and his happiness. I want Mindy Kaling's investment to improve.
Man.
and get that value up.
Yes, I want Mindy Kaling to be very happy.
Tafka's on your bandwagon now.
Which bandwagon? What did I do? Why do I have a bandwagon?
Aiden McFadden showing the front office that they're going to have to give him a first-team deal at the end of the year. 4 goals in 2 matches and all-around great play. Wando was a late-round pick, too. Talent can hide itself in the draft.
It can. Jack Elliott's a 4th-round pick, and he's a regular starter for Philadelphia. Jeff Larinowitz was a 6th or a 7th-round pick back when they did that. I mean, he was very late. It can happen. McFadden, he really seems to be following the John Gallagher kind of mode of development, getting those minutes as a right back, but who can get forward. He had a couple goals from right back on Wednesday, played higher up the pitch yesterday, gets a couple of goals, an instinctive finish on the final one, a great free kick. I mean, he's just, his runs off the ball were excellent on Wednesday. He's playing really, really well. It's also very early days. You want to see it over a whole season. But, yeah, Aiden McFadden's a guy to watch. He's just got something about him. He's just got something about him. You see players like that sometimes. They just pop off the screen at you. And McFadden's got that edge to his game. I think he absolutely could make the jump up.
Tafka also thinks that Miles' price can't possibly be below $10 million at this point. Let's find him a great home in Europe.
I don't have a problem with that. He is continuing to show an ability on the ball. He's continuing to show an ability to play that first touch forward and dribble forward and take the space. That was an important thing that I thought him and Anton Walks would have to do yesterday, and Miles did it a good bit. It suits him. And his ball to set up the penalty, exquisite. So, Miles Robinson should be in Europe here soon, and $10 million is a fine number to me to set the bar at the bottom end and see where it can go. He's a little bit older is the only thing that'll count against him, but I think there's a lot of teams that could use a center back like Miles Robinson who could afford $10 million. So we will see if that comes to fruition at some point.
Tafka also says he thinks, sadly, with the Wilf family buying in the Orlando eventually, Miami and Atlanta is going to be the new Cascadia hub for intense and quality rivalry.
I think it'll be even bigger because I'm not discounting Nashville and Charlotte from being in that mix too.
Yep.
I think that the power hub of MLS is going to be in the South. And yes, we will allow Florida to hang out in the South in this conversation. That might
That's the
be
South calling me right now.
I don't think the South has a phone, John. That might be the Wilfs calling you. Orlando, if they do what they could do with the Wilfs investing and doing it the right way, absolutely they can be bigger than they are. Miami, yes, we know what they can be if they can get it right. Charlotte, Tepper's going to come in aggressive. I want to see how he does it. I want to see how it comes off, but he's going to try. And Nashville's just really solid with what they're doing. They're really good. So, yeah, those 5 could be a blast. I think the hub of this league could end up being in the southeastern United States, and that's going to make some people mad. Oh, my goodness. You think disrespect is a big thing right now. There's going to be some angry people up in New York. There's going to be some angry people up in the Pacific Northwest when that happens.
Yep. Rich Ransom's in this morning. He says, listening to an interview over the weekend with a U.S. Soccer Academy coach who said, quote, youth players need to deal with tougher situations, maybe even getting yelled at by fans more, end quote. Can we get past the idea that the way to get U.S. youth players better is by just yelling at them?
It's a simplistic take, and I would need to know what age they're talking about because that's way too general. 8-year-olds don't need to be yelled at. 10-year-olds don't need to be yelled at. 12-year-olds don't need to be yelled at. I would say 14-year-olds don't need to be yelled at. High school age and honestly, 16 and up, yeah, dealing with some pressure because, there's 16-year-olds in this league. So, yeah. If you want to go to 14, if they're playing up with an older group that's getting yelled at occasionally, playing in front of a crowd, okay, that's fine. But, no, just yelling at kids doesn't make them better. Dealing with pressure makes them better. We talked about this with John Aiken, and, clip that if you didn't get a chance to watch the live show from Urban Tree Cidery on Thursday. Clip the John Aiken interview, and we got into a ton of different things. But the idea of playing in front of pressure is an important thing in player development. It's a very important part of this. But no, just yelling at people isn't that. Like dealing with your own fans yelling and supporting you and playing in front of that, and dealing with the opposing fans booing you or whatever. Sure. Those are things that can make players better, but that's towards the end of the development. That's not at the beginning. That doesn't help you control a pass better. That doesn't help you use the sole of your foot. These are things that have to be done in training. So there's a process, and I think dealing with pressure is part of the process, but late in the process.
Still have some on Twitter. I'll keep going. Let me know when you want to hop back into the Twitch pitch.
Keep going.
Rich also says, in Union, they're unbeaten in 4 matches. #dupe.
Not too bad.
Chris Hutchison, maintaining 90 minutes of focus is a nice piece of continual improvement to achieve. I hope it's permanent.
Yeah, it was a good 90-minute performance. That's a really good point. I mean, you gave up a goal on a set piece. I thought Seattle looked most dangerous on set pieces. João Paulo created 6 chances. I need to see, and I'm not sure if that breakdown, I have it yet, of how many of those were from dead ball situations. I think the overwhelming majority were. Let me see if that's up real quick while we are chatting about it. Be patient with me real quick. Let's see if that game is up in that way. Match report. Might be. Yes, it is. So let's find it. Shot created actions. João Paulo had 8 of them. He created the goal with that. Does it give me that broken down into how? I don't think it does. That's disappointing on here. It doesn't break it down in the game that way. João Paulo from dead balls hit 12 of them, 8 free kicks, so 4 corners. He had 8 shot-creating actions in the match, and I can't definitively tell you that those came from dead ball situations. But my guess is the majority of his 8 shot-creating actions came from dead ball situations. That's where Seattle was dangerous. Shot-created actions is a little bit different than just key passes, just chances created. Atlanta led in both. 17 shot-creating actions was what Atlanta produced versus 12 for Seattle, and João Paulo had 8 of the 12. For Atlanta, Brooks Lennon led that with 5, Marcelino Moreno with 3, Mulroney with 2, Bello with 2, Miles Robinson with 2, and was involved in creating a goal-created action, as well as Brooks Lennon was. Others who created shot-creating actions, Joseph Martinez did, Eric Lopez did. They each had 1. Santiago Sosa had 1 as well. So 17 on the whole in terms of shot-creating actions. But yeah, I can't tell you if João Paulo's 8 were all from dead balls, but the majority were. And that's where Seattle was dangerous. So outside of that, in the 90 minutes that Atlanta United played, they played well for a large portion of the 90. And that's a good sign.
Tofka says, I want Atlanta to attack the space behind a defender. So far, all of our efforts attempts to play in front. Our crosses come from the end line, or if earlier, are into the box with a well-positioned defense. Through balls, early crosses, runs to get in from behind are non-existent. Transitions need to be faster. Decisions need to be fast. That I'll attribute to a new system and new teammates, but I never see the types of runs that have proven most successful for us, in his opinion, and it looks purposeful.
It looks purposeful that you don't want to create those? I don't really buy that. One big part of it is teams are sitting back deeper. And this happened in 2018 as well, and happened in 2019 as well, and even in 17 a little bit. When teams sit back deeper, there's not space in behind them. You have to try to draw them out. How do you draw them out? You play back and you try to bring them out to press. Now, I'm with Tafka in those moments, as we saw Robinson hit that ball over the top to Lennon. That's where you can look for it. But just in general, teams are taking that away from Atlanta United for the most part. And if they're sitting deeper, there's not really space for the through ball either, because the through ball's into the 18, which has got to be absolutely precise, and you should try it, but it's hard. Combinations will break down a deeper sitting back line, or playing wide and combinations wide to bring the ball in will do that. Dunga talks about zone 14, which is the area around the top of the 18. That is an area that you can get more action in as well. If teams sit deeper, it makes it harder to do the things that Tafka is saying. You can still do that. You can still do them, but you're going to do them by doing things that people have complained about, which is playing backwards and trying to draw the opponent out to play. When they do, the recognition needs to be quicker in that, okay, drop to Sosa or drop to Robinson who can hit it, or drop to Walks who can do it. Drop, pop, and hit it into those corners especially. Cool. When that's on, do it. The through balls and things are going to be harder to find. I think they're going to happen from the wingers coming inside and making that curling kind of run, because there's not going to be a lot of room to get in behind if the opponent's sitting deep and you're pinning them deep. So the runs have to be a little more creative off the ball, and if it's Lennon, Bello, or Eric Lopez, Marcelino Moreno if they're the wingers, Jake Mulroney as well, instead of trying to just go behind, loop in front of that back line and look for the through ball played in. That's where you're going to find that breakthrough, along with just combination play at the top of the 18. But when teams sit deep, they take away a lot of the things that Tafka's talking about there.
On par reactions from Adam Cowan. 1, the start to the season has exceeded reasonable expectations. 2.
I totally agree with that.
2, the mental toughness of this team might be stronger than any year past.
Ooh, that's a good one. Definitely more mentally tough than 2019. Definitely more than 2020, which, I mean, is not really saying much because of what 2020 was. So it was hard to be mentally tough in 2020, as crazy as it was. 2017 was brand new. 2018 was pretty mentally tough, but yeah, I mean, it goes back to what we talked about with the Moreno late winner. That's only the second time Atlanta's won a game in stoppage time, in now 5th season. So they haven't had to be mentally tough as much. Okay, showing some of that now is nice to see. It's very nice to see, and it's a good place to build from.
And his third one is set pieces need to become a priority on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, and that comes a little bit later, especially when it's a new manager and you're building. It is something that needs to improve. And I think some of it is down to the marking assignments needs to be maybe a little better thought out. Although Seattle's a tough one because you get Bruin, who's a tough mark. You get Diemar Gomez Andrade, who's a tough mark. You get Nuhu, who's a tough mark. Arriaga is a tough mark. That's 4. So Robinson's going to take 1. Sosa's going to take 1. Walks is going to take 1. He's okay in the air. Then what? Lennon's good in the air. He just got beat by Rui Diaz, who would maybe be the 5th guy you'd think about with Seattle. Okay, is Lennon the 5th guy drawing the assignment for Atlanta? If that's the case, that's just going to be a tough match if teams have that many dangerous set-piece options. It's just going to be tough.
Jake Michaels is in this morning, and he wanted to hear y'all's thoughts on a comment I saw.
Okay.
Someone said we've had a lot of positive results, but not as many positive performances. Personally, I'd agree. Example 1, the draw in Seattle. The ability to find a result is a great quality we lacked last year, but improvement seems very slow.
I would disagree with Jake in that it wasn't a positive performance. I think it's absolutely a positive performance. You have to take the opponent into context. You have to. And this is not playing even Alajuelense on the road. This is not playing, even New England on the road, where Atlanta lost. Seattle's the best team in the league so far. Seattle hadn't given up anything at home. They did after this one. So that has to factor into how you're rating the performance, in my opinion. If Mike asked the question while we were in a break yesterday, and we didn't get to bring it on air, but if you had been offered a 1-1 draw prior to the match yesterday, now I know Gabriel Heinze is not going to take it because he wants to win every game,
right.
But I think fans would have been absolutely happy with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why, after seeing it play out, that would change. I don't. I didn't think anything happened the way it played out that I'm, angry about. The set piece defending, so it's a 1v1 situation, and Brooks Lennon got beat. That's all there is to it. You lost you lost a mark, you lost a matchup, gave up a goal. But they tried to play, they tried to win the match, they tried to get forward. Seattle made it difficult. They need to be better getting forward, they need to be more creative. All those things are true. Got the 1-1 against the best team in the league so far. I don't know what's so negative about that. Yeah. But that's just my opinion. Again, it is okay to have an opinion. It is okay for me to have an opinion, and we do the show, and we have microphones, and we're talking about our opinions. Like, that's all. And if you disagree, that's fine. It doesn't have to be personal attacks and some of the silliness that happens around this. It's just, hey, differing opinions on the game. Everybody has different backgrounds in it. As I tell you all the time, I'm not just tossing off opinions to get a reaction. This is how I feel about the game. And where I might be passionate and intense and sometimes angry and sometimes fired up and all the different elements and emotions of it, it's because it's an emotional game to me. This isn't just a joke. This isn't just, whatever. This is just something I do. No, this is everything to me. Soccer's been my life, and it's given me my life. So, yeah, that's why I yell about an advantage decision with New yesterday and was fired up. That's why, like a game like that yesterday, like I'm buzzing afterwards. I was excited about it. It was a fun one. There were so many different things to talk about. I don't know why it turned negative so fast. That's just not how I consume a game like that. It's not right or wrong. It's definitely not wrong. That's the most important element to it. What I just always want to know in these situations when people do come at it from a different perspective, if you want to see something different, if you don't like the way that played, what is it that you want to see different that you can control? Because just wanting more goals isn't the answer, because that's not something you can control. It's like saying, I want the Hawks to be better. Well, how do they be better? They need to make more shots. Well, they're trying to make shots. They're not trying to miss shots. They have to fall. You have to get good shots. You have to get good looks. Same in soccer. I want the Braves to hit more home runs. Well, that's a hard thing to do. It's not an easy thing to do. So how do you get there is the part that I want to have the answers about. And there are different ways to get there. Brian Schmetzer has done it in a different way many times in his career. That is not the same way that Gabriel Heinze sees the game. It's not the same way Tata Martino saw the game. It's not the same way Frank de Boer saw the game. It's worked for Brian Schmetzer. He's done very, very well. He's probably the most underrated manager in the league because, look at what he's done. Okay, it's a different approach. Is it the approach that I enjoy as much from just an artistic, look at it? No, it's not. Absolutely not. Doesn't mean it can't be effective. Doesn't mean that some people don't like it. But when we talk about, style and philosophy, I think it's really easy to kind of get boxed in when it is my way that I like is the only way, and it is all, and if you like something else, it's wrong. There's a lot of ways to get this done. There's a lot of ways to be successful. By Barnsley successful in their, long ball booting, boom ball kind of thing. They found a way to be successful in that. Swansea did the same and beat them at it. Okay. Is it a game that I'm going to watch and just enjoy it from a artistic standpoint? Absolutely not. Can it be compelling for the drama of the situation? Yes, it can. That's just, that's just how we consume the game, because it's not cut and dried. There's a lot of opinion in the game. It's why there's soccer shows worldwide in every language, analyzing these things, yelling about these things, getting fired up about these things. That's what we're at. So I just always ask the people who have the differing opinions and differing stylistic likes and dislikes, what is it that you like? Because I think that helps kind of figure out how people consume the game. And I think in Atlanta especially, now, this is 5th season, it's being able to see a team inside and out day after day. It's not, a team comes to town, it's a big event. National team plays, it's a big event. There's not that building process. This is a process that Gabriel Heinze is doing. It's a process that Tata Martino did. It was a process that Frank de Boer did in 2019. That's kind of new in Atlanta. Cities that have had teams for years and years and years, if you're from another country and you've grown up watching a team, these things aren't as shocking. Maybe it's some of that. I don't know. But, yeah, we in this network, we will give you our opinions. Doesn't mean they're always right. Hopefully they're not always wrong. And hopefully we try to explain why we feel a certain way. That's the main thing I always ask, is just, why do you feel that way? What is it? And we go. That's how it goes. So that's all I ask from folks, is just think about what you like and what you don't like, and what you want to see and what you don't want to see, and think about it in those contexts, rather than just goals equal fun. Because I don't think it has to be that way. But maybe I'm wrong. For some, maybe it does. I don't know. Anyway, there's your super huge philosophical thing if we were sitting under a tree for the day. It probably made no sense, but anyway.
No, it did. Pacine says, I don't care about baseball, yet here's the analogy for the frustration. It's not that everyone is demanding more home runs. It's that we're leaving a lot of runners stranded. We need to get them home.
Yeah, and that is the problem, Alex, and I'm not as big of a baseball guy either. Jarrett will probably be jumping up and down on this. The problem with that, and that's absolutely a good analogy here, is, okay, what do you do in a baseball perspective to change that? Get more hits? Which is a hard thing to do, which is not something you're trying not to do. It's trying to do something that's difficult. Trying to get goals, as we know, is not easy. That's kind of where it is. And that's okay. I agree with Alex. I feel like there are more opportunities on the table. The couple things I keep coming back to are the runs off the ball to give more options to the person on the ball. And the part that we talked about earlier about when Joseph drops and when he builds up the play and then he is making his run into the 18. The crosses need to come quicker when it's on in those moments, because you need to hit him developing. You need to hit him arriving into the 18 at that point. That is something that has to be. That's Uncle No Pocket said crossing has to improve as well. Brooks Lennon's crossing is the best in the league, by the way, in terms of accuracy. It's the best, around 40%. I think that shows you how hard crossing is, and when it is, you're stuck to just crossing. It's low percentage stuff. But Lennon's have been good. I think at times it's been too slow to develop, and it's not taking advantage of the movement when it happens. That's where I come back on the crossing. That was what jumped out to me yesterday watching it.
We are officially caught up on Twitter, sir.
Yay! Okay, I'm going to try to get caught up a little bit on the Twitch pitch really quickly. Sam Williamson, do y'all see Mo Adams fitting into Heinze's style of play? 100% I do. 100% I do. I'd like to see it. I want to see him get healthy and get those minutes. It'll probably be with the twos first. Byrne disagrees. I think he's got more passing than Byrne does. I think he's got the the range, which is a huge part of it. I think he can cover a ton of ground. I don't know if it's a starter. I think it's more than likely a option off the bench, especially when you're trying to see a game out and you want to get that bite on the field. But that's a valuable piece to have. I think he can fit. Clayton Paw says, I think it'd be nice to see Jackson start being the striker sub. I agree. Totally agree. And that goes back to our comments there. Conway, when Joseph is at Copa America, I would like to see him in that position, get the start. I think it's kind of like the Eric Lopez conundrum. Is it better to start the young player from the jump rather than asking them to come on and make an impact in 20 or 30 minutes? And a lot of times it can be. It comes down to the individuals and their personalities. I think Jackson's got the confidence to be able to come in and make the most of the minutes he gets. But yeah, I would like to see him get the start in those situations. Got to earn it. Got to earn it. Badger says Conway to Aberdeen. They need scoring help. They probably need a more established forward up top to be that scoring help. But, as I said earlier, if Atlanta does go get another forward, a veteran, then Conway does need to be loaned somewhere where he's going to play. And if that's Aberdeen, that's Aberdeen. But I think they're looking for more experience, too. Yeah. That's my gut feeling. Danny DDT, with that amount of ability, Conway could end up in a big European team. People here are talking about the kid a lot. Yeah, I mean, he's a big, strong, technical kid. And he's a kid. And he was born in England, so that would help with the work permit situation. So I do think that is an opportunity for him. But he's got to get his way into the team. And if he's not earning it on the training pitch or he's not ready yet, that's what he's got to show Gabriel Heinze. That's the part that has to come. Perfect Tommy, do we still need the MLS draft at this point? Yeah, I think so, because I think there's diamonds in the rough. I think it is less important than it was 5 years ago by a lot. But, yeah, I think Aiden McFadden's a prime example. I think some of the international guys who come over and didn't go through the MLS Academy structure are a prime example. I think there's always guys who are in different parts of the country that can't go through the academy structure. The USL Academy structure and below that is not fleshed out enough yet to produce pros. So there's still going to be guys who go on to college. There's going to be late bloomers. 2 rounds is all you need. Keep it at that, in my opinion, and go from there. But yeah, I think it'll be useful for a while. Byrne, totally agree. McFadden is goal dangerous. He's just that kind of guy in the final third. He seems to pop up in the right spots, and he's just got something about him that he is converting those situations right now. Ride it. And I think he is the USL Championship Player of the Week. I'll be surprised if he doesn't win that. Running, absolutely, Byrne. Totally agree. Byrne says, at the very least, the Red Bulls would probably pay $250,000 in GAM for McFadden. I wouldn't be shocked by that outcome. Yeah. He is, in some ways, and this isn't fair because Alex Muil is a very good player, but I think McFadden is a more dangerous offensive version of Alex Muil. I think Muil is a better defensive player than McFadden. But offensively, yeah, McFadden's that kind of guy. And look, Alex Muil's proven to be dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Scott,
I'll give you one from Twitter from Shiva, and we talked about it a little bit in hour number 1.
Yes.
I see Joseph dropping more and more game after game. I think the way Heinze is working this attack, people should get used to the new Joseph. It's not as simple as him waiting in the box for the ball to arrive.
It's not as new as you might think. And I recommend at CJ Smith 91, Chris Smith, who writes for a number of different places, One Goal US, Last Word SC, Dirty South Soccer. He does stuff with Squawka as well. He's been covering Atlanta pretty closely. He posted, and I'm trying to see when it posted, so 15 hours ago. He went back using Squawka and 23 Sport, which is a sports tech company, to show passes received and movement networks for Joseph in 2018, 2019, and this season. 2018 was actually a little bit deeper than 2019, but we're getting into semantics. It's not far off. And 2021 is a little bit deeper than the other two. A little bit. Not much. So it's the 2018 one surprised me. I didn't feel like he was as deep then, although they were moving into more of a possession team. You need your number 9 to be able to do that. That's why Dom Dwyer was shipped out of Kansas City as Peter Verme shifted to that kind of way of playing because he didn't fit it. Probably why he doesn't fit under Oscar Pereja either. So Joseph Martinez does fit into this way of playing, and I thought he showed some really good things yesterday in those moments. But when he comes back to do that, it gets back to he's getting involved to try to destabilize their defense, to try to arrive and be running at the cross, at the delivery, rather than just standing still. The ball has to be there for him. The ball has to come and meet him when he is arriving. That's the part that hasn't happened consistently yet. But the dropping and getting involved in build-up, it's honestly not as new as you might think.
And now we're caught up on Twitter.
Okay. Scott Flood of the Flood Project is hanging out in the Twitch pitch. Big show on Thursdays. You can see on the screen. Anderby Brewing. Neil McNabb, former Manchester City Player of the Year in the 80s. Neil McNabb Jr. will be there. Rush Union will be there. We've talked to them before, but this is going to be a special one for the Manchester City fans. You can come out if you're not a Manchester City fan, too. There will be soccer talk that will not just be about that, but there's going to be a lot with the McNabbs, their history in Atlanta, but also in Manchester. It'll be a fun time. Anderby Brewing, I'm looking forward to sampling their wares. Thursday night, you know the drill by now. Get there at 5. Show will be from 6 to 8. It will be on Twitch. We will hopefully not have everything blow up all at once like it did from Urban Tree in terms of the internet, the connections, the production suite, all of it. That was fun. But we will have the show there for you on Twitch as well, and we hope you can join us either in person or at Anderby on Thursday night. Lots of cool stuff being planned for that one. Okay, other things from the Twitch pitch. Lots of conversation going around and around. Very cool. Uncle, I'm going to try to dig into this a little bit this week. Uncle says passing stats are highly padded by back passes. I'm not thinking it's as many back passes as others do. I'm also not as sensitive to back passes, so maybe I don't, note them as much. I'll try to compare that because I think I can find that information, Unc. If I haven't done it by later in the week, please remind me, and we'll see what we can figure out with that. But I don't think it's quite as padded as you might think. Okay. Uncle, you're good people, man. You know that. You know how I feel about you. It's all good. This is why we have these conversations in the Twitch pitch. All kinds of opinions, and we all come from different perspectives. Nothing to worry about, my friend. Shiva, good point. Nashville will not have a problem sitting deep. They do that very well. They did that against Austin. That is their MO. They're trying to get forward more this year, but they're another very good defensive team. They do it a little bit differently than Seattle did. It's not going to be easy for Atlanta. It's another hard-fought game. I think one thing that I'm seeing this season is the league is better than it's ever been in terms of competitiveness.
Yep.
It's not easy week in and week out in this league right now. I mean, Cincinnati got a win over the weekend. Montreal slipped up. DC shown to be competitive. It's not an easy league to get consistent wins in. That's what gives Seattle a lot of credence to being the best team because of what they've done this season. Atlanta's going to have another battle on their hands against a really good defensive team in Nashville, and they're going to have to find that space. Sometimes playing back to create the space needs to happen, but then you've got to take advantage of it. The movement, like we talked about with Tafka's comment on Twitter earlier, you got to find different ways to maybe not get in behind in the old way because there's no space in behind. But how can you find other elements of that? I think that looping run to come inside and get the through pass delivered, the through ball delivered, that needs to happen more. Set piece defending has been bad for 5 years, Ricky. That's absolutely true. Needs to continue. Needs to continue to get better. It's hard because you're focusing on ball playing players as opposed to big guys. Just big guys are good on set pieces. S8 in on the Twitch pitch. Thanks for hanging out. Something like that. Best team from the U.S. and what place would it finish in the Premier League? I'll tell you why that question really can't be answered, because the MLS teams have a salary cap. So they can't spend like a Premier League team can, and they don't have access to the TV money that the Premier League clubs do either. As they are constructed, the best MLS team would not do well in the Premier League because they don't have as much talent. They don't spend as much. I mean, it's very obvious, and it was borne out in the numbers this year. The 4 teams that make the most and spend the most were the top 4 teams in the Premier League. Period. So it's about money. And MLS teams are not allowed to just spend whatever they want. They don't have as much either right now. That it's a growing league. So no. I mean, that's why Wolves and Norwich and West Brom and Newcastle and others don't have a chance to win the Premier League either. You know, if you took the shackles off, no salary cap, and if the revenues were what Premier League teams made, so you could upgrade, then we're talking about a different team, right? So it's hard to compare. It's just different things. I mean, it's just a different world you're living in. I think what's more important from this hemisphere's perspective is where do MLS teams rank with Liga MX, and their best a little behind, needs to be better. With South American teams, there's some in South America that are huge, and MLS teams don't rank with them yet. There are a lot of others that they absolutely do. And it's grown really fast, and it needs to continue to grow really fast. It needs to be in a position where it can explode after the 26 World Cup. With more money coming in, more money to spend, that means better players, that means better quality. That doesn't happen overnight if you're going to actually build a platform for it to be sustainable. So there's your long-winded answer to the best team right now is the Seattle Sounders. They would not stay up in the Premier League as they are currently constructed. If you gave them the same amount of revenue, then it'd be down to how they spend it. If you gave them the bottom Premier League team's revenue, how does Seattle spend it, and then how does it compare? And then it's a different team. It's almost impossible.
Tafka, when we're talking about the draft and how you can get players with the Aiden McFadden discussion, he says the draft will be essential in coming years. MLS academies are going to spit out 18 well-trained kids every single year. 1 to 2 will get pro deals at most each year. The draft provides an essential overflow system for quality talent that may only need a few more years to develop. USL Championship isn't attractive enough to deter all 16 remaining academy grads from taking a scholarship from a college education and ability to continue playing and go pro later. May get there in 10 to 15 years, but it's a ways out for sure.
Yeah, it's just it's got to be better. It's got to be better across the board from the professional academies. It's so much better than it was. It's happened really fast, but you don't even have 30 MLS teams right now. And when you talk about quality academies, it's not all of them right now. So if you're born in Jackson, Mississippi, you don't have access to an MLS academy. What's your pathway? You might not get noticed. And you might then get noticed at the NCAA level and get an opportunity that way. Josh Bauer, I think, is a prime example of this. I really like Bauer's game. I mean, he's a New England guy, went to the University of New Hampshire. You know, like that's not a big school. And they've been able to make the NCAA tournament, and he got some exposure. Cool. If he was growing up in Chicago, or he grew up, where he had access to the Revs Academy, which frankly hasn't been very good for a long time. It's getting a lot better quickly because there's actually real investment in it now. But if he had grown up in a place, Chicago hasn't done well developing young talent either. That's not the right one. If he grew up in a place, like Atlanta, and he'd had an opportunity to play in a professional academy setup at a younger age, maybe we're having a different conversation. But you're going to have those players in this country for a good while. So the draft has value. I disagree with Philadelphia's approach in just trading away all the draft picks.
Yeah.
Dallas has shown you that you can do both. There's no reason why you can't do both. If there's a diamond in the rough that you like, go grab them. If there's not, trade it. That's fine. But just to punt on it just on principle, I think you're wasting an opportunity unless you get the return you want, and then, hey, more power to you. I don't think they did this time around. Go get somebody if you think there's somebody who can help you. I think Aiden McFadden is a player who could end up being a nice surprise. John Gallagher was a player who was a nice surprise. Jack Elliott was an incredible surprise in Philadelphia. That's why they should keep these draft picks, because Jack Elliott's a starter for you as a 4th-round pick. There's guys like that, so go find them. Go find them. Mm-hmm. Will says Chicago does a decent job developing talent. They do an awful job holding on to it. They've not done a great job developing talent. Now it's starting, but you go back to 3, 4, 5 years ago, oof, it was horrible. Young players wanted out of there. Period. Burns says Bauer had a rough game yesterday.
I didn't think it was all that rough.
I'll have to go back and look at it.
Yeah.
I like his qualities. Burned is maybe the best way to put it. He's young. I mean, he's young in terms of playing at a professional level, and that's, I think, one of the things that's a little hard, because you look at his age and you look at his professional experience, and they're very different. So he's a youngin' in terms of playing at this level, where somebody like George Campbell has a lot more experience playing at the professional level than he does. So it's a tough situation. I love the Benitez loan. I see Mataflo and Byrne talking about that. I love what he can possibly be. I am absolutely all in favor of an Atlanta United Independiente del Valle pipeline, 100%. Mataflo, we will make this happen one way or another. It's an interesting thing. I mean, this is all a process. Drew says that's true about set pieces, but yesterday was Robinson's fault. It was not. It was Brooks Lennon. It was Brooks Lennon and Raul Ruidiaz. It wasn't Miles Robinson on Ruidiaz. Heinze said it after the match. He said it was a 1v1. He was asked about set pieces. He said that was the mark. It was 1v1, and they lost it. So there's nobody else. People make mistakes. I think maybe this is something we have to understand, that Brooks Lennon made a mistake. He got beat. He gave up a goal. Doesn't mean he's a bad guy. Doesn't mean he's a bad player. Doesn't mean, forget it about Brooks Lennon. It means he got beat on a 1v1. That's all. And that's going to happen when you go through the lineup of Seattle set-piece targets and you go through the lineup of Atlanta defenders for those set pieces. You're going to run out of options sometimes. That's how it goes. Okay, I'm going to try to get caught up on the Twitch pitch, and we will preview what soccer over there will look like tonight with a lot of things to get into. Will, I am absolutely with free Moises Caicedo.
Yes.
Aberdeen, if Brighton's not going to play Moises Caicedo, that would be a nice loan to go get, right?
Yep.
Go get Moises Caicedo on loan. I think he would do very well in Scotland.
Yeah.
If Graham Potter's not going to play him, or Graham Potter's not there, then yeah, go get Moises Caicedo on loan, Aberdeen. We know a guy, might need to tell him. Let's see.
Well, and to Burns' discussion about Bauer played in basically 2.5 matches in a week's time. So, I mean, there were a lot of guys. Yeah. I mean, Connor Stanley looked gassed. Bauer was playing. He played full against Oklahoma City, played 45 against Tulsa, and then he comes back and plays a full 90 in those conditions yesterday as well. So there were a lot of guys who were pretty much running on fumes, playing their third match in a week too. Something else to consider in there.
Burns said defensively he was okay. Had 3 really bad giveaways that should have led to goals. Got gun shy with the passing. Lost his mark on the second goal. Bad day at the office.
Yeah.
See if he bounces back from it in the next one. Ricky says, if I have the count correct, we have 5 to 6 potential international duty players. That feels right. You're starting to get the European rosters announced. We're starting to see some of the South American rosters announced for qualifiers in Copa America. Gold Cup will come later, but you're going to see the Nations League rosters come out here quickly. I think there's a fairly good chance Miles Robinson will be on that, but if it's just Nations League, then that wouldn't affect MLS availability because that would be during the international break. The World Cup qualifiers would be it. It's during Copa America and Gold Cup that you're really concerned with potentially missing MLS matches. Just have to see how it shakes out, Ricky. Martha said, speaking of young guys, what's the status on Machop Chol? Didn't play with the twos. He's still out hurt. Not back yet. not making squads either, so not back yet. Jason Nix, the Olympics roster is even later than the others. So in terms of Barco being available for Argentina for that, there's still a lot of time before that. So stay tuned on that one. He absolutely could be part of that team if he gets back playing, but he's got to get back playing first. A lot of talk about Philly and style of play and things with Independiente del Valle and loaning guys. I do agree with Mataflow. I don't know if Philly's style of play is the right fit for all of what Independiente del Valle is trying to create. You always get guys that come through that are a little different. So sure, if there's the right guy to get to Philadelphia, the pipeline can divert. Possibly, depending on what Philadelphia does for Independiente del Valle, Tommy. Just saying. But I think in general, yeah, they're more suited to possession teams and playing out of the back teams. And Philly can do that, but I think Jim Curtin is leaning more into some of the other components, the transition components, that maybe it's not every IDV player. Ricky, is that true? The Nations League roster comes out at 2 today. There we go. We've got confirmation. Yes, it is all coming out at 2. Well, there you go. I think Robinson will be part of it. I don't know about everybody else. Uncle, it's so far later. Barco's not going on international duty now. That's not happening. It's so far down the road. He could play 5 MLS games before he goes on international duty to the Olympics. So it's I don't even know if that rubs into it yet, that it would rub you the wrong way. He might be back and playing consistently before that happens. It's just, it is what it is. We'll have to see if he's even healthy enough to do that, and that's the part we don't know yet. Haven't really heard a detailed update yet on that. Okay, couple things we'll get into tonight on Soccer Over There as we wind it down. So we'll get into the USSF and Soccer United marketing. I think some people have portrayed it a little differently. The contract is up after 2022, and they're not going to proceed because U.S. Soccer is going to take those duties in-house. So if they feel like they can do those deals, do the marketing in-house, then they don't have to pay somebody else to do it. That's a business decision that makes a lot of sense if you can do it. Yep. Soccer United marketing came about at a time when they couldn't do it. And there was a group that had the rights, and they kind of folded and had problems. MLS said, hey, this is an opportunity. We can create this. The MLS owners did. They did. It's obviously helped MLS grow. I think some are trying to read things into this that are not there. I want to see what U.S. Soccer does with bringing it all in-house. We'll talk about that in more detail tonight. There should be a little bit more about it as more is learned about it today. We'll talk about rumors involving Cristiano Ronaldo, Manchester United, maybe, possibly. Yeah. Kylian Mbappe, he wants to go somewhere where he can win. PSG did not win Liga. Harry Kane, Chelsea, maybe. Would Tottenham do business with him? I don't know.
Granite Sky will splash the cash, that we know.
I will continue to create the Juan Mata to MLS hype train. Where does Gennaro Gattuso end up? He will not be at Napoli after they drew yesterday that allowed Juventus to get into the Champions League. De Laurentiis did issue a nice tweet to Gennaro Gattuso. He said, "Dear Reno, I'm happy to have spent almost 2 seasons with you. Thanking you for your work. I wish you success wherever you go. A hug to your wife and children, too." I'm glad he at least did that, and it didn't end up completely crazy. But Gattuso has been linked to a ton of jobs. Tottenham, do it. Spurs, hire Gattuso. Sergio Conceição is apparently going to be the replacement at Napoli. He's done very well with Porto. Can he do more with more resources? Intrigued. We'll get into Antonio Conte and his thoughts on whom he would dedicate the Scudetto to. It's an interesting answer. I'll save it for Soccer Over There. Maybe he meets with the president of the club, the ownership. Maybe he doesn't. Depends on who you talk to if that meeting's happening today. And does he stick around? Does Juve stick with Andrea Pirlo? Spain, for the first time ever, heading to a major... Thanks, John. To a major tournament without a Real Madrid player. No Real Madrid players in the Spain roster. Sergio Ramos, not able to play. Luis Enrique said he wanted to send a message to Ramos, our captain. He's not in the list as he hasn't been able to compete or even train properly with the group since January. It was difficult, but it's best for the team. He's tried to play for Real Madrid, and every time he tries, he gets hurt again because he's coming back too soon because they had everybody else hurt too. We will talk about Barcelona. Ronald Koeman, he's talking. He's laying his cards on the table. We'll see if he's able to find a full house in that. I don't know if he will. And we'll talk about Cruz Azul. They're in the final, 2 games away, 24-year title drought. They're in the final. They beat Pachuca. Do they get it done? It is Cruz Azul. There's always the possibility that they don't.
And Austin, Texas, they are having the press conference right now as we speak about Q2 Stadium. Austin FC and Austin Public Health announced attendance guidelines for Q2, enabling full capacity for the stadium opener on June 19th against San Jose. And it also allows Q2 to operate at near full capacity for the women's national team friendly versus Nigeria 3 days earlier than that. So looking at a full house at Q2 and close to it for middle of June when they unveil that stadium.
Excited to see it. Austin, not a great result for them last night. Not a huge surprise against a really good team, but Austin's going to be fun in this league. It all ended up right. You know, I'm glad Columbus kept their team. I'm glad they decided after a lot of stuff that they are going to be the Crew. But Austin's a good addition to the league. I think they will end up being a very, very good addition. And Will says, hey, first team in Texas to fill up their stadium in years, right? That's just mean. Ricky wants my thoughts on Hawks and Knicks game 1. Trey is a bad boy. I like Trey. And I like Trey giving it back to MSG. It's going to be a good series. It was a good first game. I didn't get to see all of it. Obviously, we were doing full-time report, and then I was getting home, and then it's just trying to get everything done after a game. But, man, great stuff from Trey. And this team isn't completely solely reliant on Trey having unbelievable nights to win anymore, which is a good thing. But when he does, they're going to win games. Trey is a bad boy. It is quiet as in here. That is accurate. Final thing before we go, I'm going to put it back up on the screen. We are doing a campaign this week to help the Boys and Girls Clubs of Metro Atlanta kick off their summer programming again because they didn't have it last year. Trying to get kids back into camp, safe, inclusive, engaging environments for kids as they're able to interact with one another again. They do have a great soccer program. They've done the Soccer for Success programming through the U.S. Soccer Foundation for a number of years. They are starting to put the building blocks together to go beyond that and have games and have leagues and have teams and have tournaments. And some of the sites are really invested in it. It's exciting to hear, and it's another part that this game can really grow in Atlanta. And the Boys and Girls Clubs of Metro Atlanta are going to be a big part of that. Go to givebutter.com/BGCMA Summer. It's on the screen. QR code's on the screen as well. We are trying to raise $1,000 for the Boys and Girls Clubs of Metro Atlanta to get their summer camps kick-started. And they're starting here very soon. They got the word they were going to be able to do it not that long ago. So we're trying to help them get going. You got soccer programs in the summer camps. You got art programs in the summer camps, including, printmaking, drama, lyricism 101, culinary classes. John, you might need to go to summer camp. STEM programs, other sports, very, very cool stuff. The Boys and Girls Clubs of Metro Atlanta have a long history of giving kids opportunities to succeed and thrive and interact in safe environments. So we're happy to help them out. givebutter.com/BGCMA Summer is where you can go to our page and our campaign and help us reach our goal of kickstarting their summer programming with $1,000 this week. We'll be talking about it all week, and we'll keep giving you more and more info. Yes, John needs to go to Cooking 101 at summer camp. 100%. That is correct, Jason Nix.
Well, I'm giving Jason my response here in the Twitch pitch.
I hope it doesn't have an F in it.
Let's. I wish that we had like dialing music or something.
No, we don't need it because we're done.
Well, hang on. I'm giving Jason my response. Now we're done.
You could have said it. That's how the microphones work.
Well, I was in the middle of typing it, and then you were like, all right, that's it. We're going. So I was trying to get it done. I started it before you started to wrap the show.
I like the...
Yeah, pretty much. Well, it's either
typing
that
style.
Or try to like look completely and totally off camera and try to type with two hands. I was trying to look in the camera and do it with my left hand.
Do you know how to type with two hands?
Yeah, but like I said, I was trying to stay on camera so I wouldn't be leaning off camera when I was trying to type with two hands. It's a proximity issue.
Ay, Dios mío. Good luck, Ricky Ricardo. Good luck on your cooking show idea. Can you cook better than a fifth grader? John versus kids in a cooking competition.
The answer is no.
The answer is no. The kids understand that you salt your pasta. They would 100% understand that. I would bet against John. I would bet on the kids. I don't think the kids are going to get... I would bet
on the kids, too.
They're not going to get a big number because they're going to be overwhelming favorites in this, but yes. Abby's correct. Why is your keyboard not directly in front of your screen? That is bad body mechanics.
Well, I have two keyboards here. I've got the desktop and the laptop. The laptop is the one that's attached to the Twitch pitch directly, at least this time. And so, so dueling keyboards, Abby. It was good to see you yesterday, by the way.
All right. We'll be back for soccer over there tonight at 7. Nick Alifi will probably have some buffoonery to throw in about Juventus getting into the Champions League. There was a result.
Because Cristiano Ronaldo was tired and they still got
Hey, it didn't matter. He could be tired. He could take a nap. But I'm just going to say, there was a result and there was a game. Nick went one way on it against his own son.
Mm-hmm.
His son was right. I was right, too. Juve found another way in.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe my Italian black helicopter theory could have been correct.
Mm-hmm.
Nick says, I'm not even mad. Not even mad. Is your son taking you to court yet, Nick? As he threatened to do on last week's show? We'll talk about that. We'll get an update tonight. We'll get an update on the picks of the week. We'll do more picks of the week. We'll talk about all the news in the soccer world, which there's a bunch. That's tonight, 7 o'clock on the Twitch pitch, twitch.tv/soccer down here. Jackie Fresh has filed a suit against Nick and abandoning his beloved Milan. More to come tonight. Y'all have a good rest of the day. We'll see you in a few hours. Mucha plata, y'all.